Yes, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. We are bringing some Chill Fuzzy Chats back, and I'm joined by what I do believe is his first time on the Hot Fuzz channel. Please do welcome a good buddy of mine, great Chelsea content creator and streamer in Wolfang Division. Give a round of applause, everybody. Thank you very much for joining me tonight, Wolfang. I
Did
hope
it
you're doing
royal
well,
wave?
buddy.
Yeah, I'm giving it the royal wave now that you've said
yeah,
that, mate. I'm doing
yeah,
all the sideways
yeah.
and everything like that.
Queen's
Good
Way,
evening.
Queen's
Good
Way.
evening.
Oh,
Good evening, everybody. Pleasure to
but
be
yeah,
here.
got a very important topic to discuss tonight. Very important topic. We're going to be discussing IBS tonight.
IBS. Oh, sorry. My phone just
But
kicked in.
it's not irritable bowel syndrome, people. It's international break shenanigans. Because what else could it be for United Football Club? Well, Manchester United Football Club. Technically, we are still the only Royal United. But anywho, Mama Flossie, good to see you. Early bird in the chat. It's Fuzzy Wolf Show. It is. It is. It is. It is. Always a pleasure to see you, Mama Flossie. Hope you're doing well. Um, but yeah, a few things to discuss. So, as of course, probably the lead topic featured on the thumbnail of the stream is that of Sir Jim Ratcliffe. So, word on the street was that apparently yesterday people were saying Sir Jim Ratcliffe, he's going to start work on Monday. Well, it's probably not going to happen considering it was Sir Bobby Charlton's funeral, and that will kind of be a bit sort of chaotic if someone were to be, celebrating. You've got the funeral procession, and then you've got the crowning procession of Sir Jim Ratcliffe literally following that. So yeah, it wouldn't have gone down well. But a likelihood that this deal could get done over this international break period. And I suppose it's interesting because the 14th of November, which is today, was allegedly the time that the Glazers had officially announced a year ago today that they were exploring alternative options that could lead to a potential full sale. Today was the day that the news officially broke. So we celebrate a 1 year anniversary to the sale process of Manchester United, to which we haven't been sold yet, but that we've still not actually got a deal completed, though be it's close to finalization, we're still not across the line yet. Now, for United fans, we're sort of to the point where we're tired, right? We're tired of having to wonder and speculate and what's going to happen with this club, how long are we going to be in the trenches for, this uncertainty. It's playing on the squad, it's playing on the manager, it's playing on all these different departments, and it's causing a bit of anarchy. If you're a rival fan looking from the outside in, how would you summarize this takeover process from start to finish? Like, how would you, to keep it, say, a bit as brief as explanatory possible, how would you summarize the process from today, last year to now?
Well, that's a difficult one to sum up, really. Considering my club was in a similar position about a year and a half ago, in the terms of a sale was forced, shall we say, from the previous regime, because obviously, like, there was issues. I'm not going to go into what those issues were because we all know what they were. But yeah, man, I do believe in terms of from the year on, I do think it's one of those ones the Glazers have just done it to keep Man United in the headlines, because there's been a lot of speculation about who's going to buy it for a long time. A lot of people believe that I'm not going to say what party was either, but Mr. Radcliffe wasn't going to get it. It was going to be somebody else, and that somebody else was going to bring massive investment, not only into the team but into the club, the infrastructure, the training ground, and like literally try and bring Man United a new lease of life. Because I remember in the transfer window in summer when all this talk was happening as well, before it was confirmed that it wasn't going to happen. About there was talk that Harry Kane might come. There was it was a lot of things to like. It's weird because it was a lot of things to be that were promising for Unite in the summer, and it was a lot, and it was kind of like you guys were on the up and up. You had won another trophy. You guys were gonna like hopefully like continue your improvement on the pitch.
Yeah.
Hag was not fully backed by everybody, but he was at least trusted.
Mm.
And it's one of those ones where it's just gone viciously wrong.
Mm.
And if there wasn't so much craziness around it, maybe there might not have been like so much issue or a problem. But it's kind of it's been like a trick, isn't it? As a United fan, do you feel tricked?
I'll tell you what, it's interesting that you use the phrase tricked, because there is an element of that in the fan base to those that believed that, the Glazer family, they're cornered financially, they're cornered, they've only got so many avenues that they can go down. And it was just sort of narrowing into one bottleneck, which was just full sale. And I think as far as Tricked is concerned, is probably the fans that keep tabs on things, and especially with Sir Jim Ratcliffe. He's previously inquired about the acquisition of Manchester United before the big sale process itself. This was a couple of years back when he had meetings with the Glazer family, discussing the potential to what's your status or stance on the ownership of your asset at Manchester United, and they said, well, we're not looking to sell it at the moment, and he was just like, oh, that's fine. Well, we can't go to buy something if it's not for sale. Like, he came out with those statements and spoke about the Glazers as a sort of like, oh well, yeah, these guys they're nice people. They're really nice people. Yeah, really friendly people. Um, and basically, I think from that point, that interview there, a lot of people sort of thought about it like, but he's just being another Glazer apologist here. He's sort of trying to buddy up with them, and now seeing him sort of sleek his way into the position he's in now, just seeing the process that he's gone through, like with his bid, his process is changing percentages and all of these different things, to being now the sole and only favourite, and by the looks of it, the only realistic bid to which has been considered at all by the Glazer family. A lot of people say, well, Sir Jim Ratcliffe has actually probably had a deal in place with them for a long, long, long time, actually. And that it's only now where it becomes more obvious that he's perhaps gotten into bed with the Glazer family. Henceforth, you get a world record bid of Qatar with all of this grandeur, right? Plans of grandeur. We're going to wipe the debt. We're going to renovate the stadium. We're going to pump billions into the club. We'll do all of these wonderful, amazing things. But the Glazers still have no interest in that compared to Sir Jim Ratcliffe changing all of his percentages all the time. And if for someone who wants to sell a business, I'm thinking, what would I rather go with? Someone who's offering me a world record bid for my asset, right? Or do I go with someone who means I'm going to stay at this at my with my asset, with ownership, with my company? But someone else is going to come in for just over $1 billion, and he's going to allegedly buy parts of this club off of me over time. And to me, there's a lot of skepticism around the future of what Sir Jim Ratcliffe's bid actually is, what it insinuates, where he's going to go with that.
On that note, does anyone know exactly what the process of his bidding is? Because I know nowadays there's all sort of little things wound into it, and like they have to like provide a certain amount and do this. Like, does anyone know clearly what Ratcliffe wants to do?
Well, that's the thing. There's a lot of people that have actually questioned the actual process itself, but what the bid insinuates. We've had MUST come out to ask about what is this bid, because you're keeping the Glazers. Like you as Ineos, you're keeping the Glazers here, which goes against what we've said for a long time about the takeover process, and all of these other fan groups have said the same thing. We're all in the same boat here. So what is the structure of your bid if you've promised us or if you've sold to us, yeah, the Glazers, we're going to buy out the Glazers, slowly but surely. But what is the structure of that? What is your plan for all of us to see so that we know and we can have it, we can keep it as receipts as a fan base and say, so our ownership has factually told us this, they've explained this to us, and that's their plan. Now you've got to stick by that plan. And by the way of which it's not clear and obvious, that it's all just sort of, well, yeah, we want to do this, we want to do that. We still don't know. So Sergeant Ratcliffe could take the 25% of the club now, and we will say, okay, yeah, cool, yeah, no, 3 years' time he will have, majority ownership, if not 100% control. The problem is that kind of one goes against the reason why the Glazers are staying now, because they'll want to keep the club for as long as they possibly can.
Bleeding it dry, isn't they? So why would they want to let go of it?
And that's the thing, is if Sergeant Ratcliffe gets everything that he wants with this club ownership from that 25%, why would he incentivize going to buy more shares for more billions of pounds to get bigger percentages of the club if he already can get what he wants and what he needs from 25% that he's paying for now? So there's a lot of question marks around the say legitimacy behind what he's planning to do once he takes over the club. But I think one of the biggest tellers is when we get to that point, when we get to the point of transferal of percentages, and we see like words no longer have any meaning to us. Now it's all about the actions, and once the green light gets given for those actions, then we will really see or what's been promised gets materialized and what doesn't. So I think there's a little bit of like a lot of people are excited, and I'd say don't count your chickens just yet, because a lot of people that want to say, look, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to buy all of these things, we're going to spend all the money on that, right? We've heard 200 plus or 250 plus million pounds to be spent on the squad infrastructure, things like that. Or to some form of renovation. I can't remember which one it was for, but now we're going to have to see, when you get the green light, how much of that are you going to actually action? And that's going to be the biggest telling point for me.
That's the worry as a Man United fan, isn't it? Because there's been so much PR and this and that spindled over the last year. You just hope that whoever actually comes in does half the things they actually say, because dealing with football clubs now is too much like dealing with lawyers. They'll show you one thing while they'll do another, and it's just heartbreaking as a true fan.
You could say that because we both live in the UK. It's like watching a Tory government try to conduct one single act of what is it?
I've got a best mate next to me right now. He could go in on the Tory government, bro. Trust me. He's only sitting there, like, he would go in on the Tory government. Trust me.
Well, I'll tell you what, we won't stick to Tory discussions, because otherwise we will probably have to end up changing the contents of the show to the Tory slander podcast, if you will. Mother Flossie here says, I think the Glazers have led everybody a merry dance. They absolutely have. And I think the probably the most disappointed lot would be the Qatar group, which I'm not too sure.
An offer was actually more than the value of the club, because didn't they offer, was it 7, and the club was only valued about 5? Was that true?
3 point something. They offered, their bid was over
double the price of the club, and they still
over double the valuation, which to me it hammers home more truth about people who speculate that the Glazers just never really wanted to sell anyways.
Club, yeah, of course.
But maybe that not be the case, because they saw Sergeant Ratcliffe actually offer ways for the Glazers to stay. Now, if Sergeant Ratcliffe was looking to just put outright full sale bids, and it's like, well, I'm not going to bid anything less than 100%. I want full control of the club. If it's two groups going head to head for full control, all the minority investment groups. Now, the Glazers have been trying to get minority investment for years, years and years and years and years and years, and it's not worked for them. So essentially, putting something up on the market would introduce interest, would bring more people to sit at the table, and more people, more billionaires, more investors will be more all ears. Basically, they'll be like, okay, yeah, let's listen to what these guys have got to say with the prospects of selling the club. So yeah, it's a really, really, really unfortunate thing for United fans, and I think a bit more, say, banterous, but also to some fans frustrating from other clubs watching this. And it's just like, this is so painfully stupid. Like, what's going on over at Manchester United? Some of them are just like, nah, who cares? Hopefully they shut their doors and collapse, and the Old Trafford catches fire and it all burns to the ground.
Yeah, but
Early doors football TV. It has been a long while since we have had you around in the community, man. Well, fantastic to see you back around. Just dropping in to say a good evening to Hot Fuzz, Wolfgang, and Mama Flossie. Good to see you all. Early starts off, unfortunately. Hope to catch you all soon. Much love. No worries at all. Early doors, you get yourself plenty of rest. It's always a pleasure to see you around in the chats. Hopefully, we can see you back doing your own streams for West Ham as well, mate, because those were fantastic as well. So do be sure to show some love to Early Doors Football TV, and also sub to his channel as well, because he also around this a little bit before I got to my 100 mark, he hit the 100 mark as well. So do be sure to go show him some love. Good to see you, Early Doors Football TV. Absolutely. Now, speaking of investments and billionaires as such, out of nowhere, bit random, but some billionaire bloke has apparently, it's breaking news. He's bought stakes in Manchester United.
how much of a stake?
I don't know.
So
That's the thing. They just reported a billionaire has bought some shares.
that
For
could
how
mean,
many?
well, all right, I bought some shares because when
Uh,
you said he bought a stake, that could mean anything. Like,
Well, apparently it's saying here from Delta One on Twitter, billionaire, like literally cap locks, billionaire Leon Cooperman has taken a stake in MUFC. That's it. That's the end of report. I'm thinking, so he could have bought the same amount of shares that I could buy tomorrow on the
yeah,
New York
that's my
Stock
point.
Exchange, but everyone's tracked that transaction and gone, oh my God, it's Leon Cooperman. This guy could pump billions into our club. But what percentage of power is he going to have or rights to do that? If he's bought like a couple hundred shares, even with a couple thousand shares, there's no significance to actually having any control or influence on
No, because the Glazers
owning the
maintain
asset.
control. Yeah, of course.
Leon Cooperman thinks that Sergeant Ratcliffe deal's almost done. Now I'm going to buy some shares so that when Sergeant Ratcliffe, if he does improve the value of that, then I can sell that part of my shares a couple years down the line. Bob's your uncle. I make profit. So billionaires, when they buy shares, they do buy a significant amount, right? They buy quite a sizable amount of shares, where it's a sizable difference between what they buy to then what they sell. So for me, a bit of a nonsense. I don't know what your take is on, news articles trying to stress that there's billionaires buying a couple shares off Manchester United. I don't know if you see any sort of like bother by that, or if as a rival fan, if there's anything in that at all.
Well, no, I grew up with Manchester United being a footballing institution of this country. So, of course, I don't want to see Man United go, because I believe I was talking with you this the other day on another stream about how the core of English football's lost its roots. And if Man United go down the toilet, and that's pretty much anyone can go down the toilet, and we can't have that because they're a footballing institution of this country, just like Liverpool, just like Arsenal, and Chelsea and City are becoming. So it's kind of like you can't if you go down, we can all go down, really, innit? So it's just one of those ones where you have to, as a football fan, you have to look on the bigger picture. If you're sitting in there thinking, "Oh, Man United are just in the mud, this, that, and the other," then you've got to really take your head out of the sand and look at what's going on. Because if it can happen to Man United, it can happen to everybody else. Everybody else. So,
Yeah.
and the thing is, one thing about it is, I will say this, with you guys. It's one of those ones where maybe where Fergie was there when the Glazers were there, there was a kind of like a coping mechanism. But ever since like he's gone, it's just you could see the deterioration. The vampires we call the Glazers bleeding money out of the club. Obviously the deterioration of this club's facilities, its training facilities, its stadium. If this was 10, 15 years ago, that's never happening. And that's the problem. And it's a bit, it's heartbreaking because like, I remember all the greatest battles in the Premier League being with Man United, and between you guys and Arsenal, you guys Liverpool, you guys Newcastle. I'll never forget. Was it the 5-4 a long time ago between Newcastle and Manchester United as well? The mad games you guys used to be involved in. To lose that doesn't help us, if you know what I mean, as a footballing country. It really doesn't. So
yeah. So I suppose with the prospect of United sort of crashing, burning, going down to into the shadow realm, if we'll call it that. For me, I think the governing bodies would probably make the biggest disaster out of it, because I know that there's a lot of rival fans that will be absolutely shameless with it. They'll absolutely love it if Manchester United were to shut their doors. Goodbye, off the face of the planet you go. The governing bodies would look at that and go, "Oh my God, that like the fact that United disappeared. No, that can't. Like we can't see that." And I think it would take for one of those things to happen before a governing body really introduces like almost beyond strict measurements to really keep clubs ever really going down this garden path that the Glazers have basically led Manchester United on. And seeing, I mean, it's the same thing with Todd Bowley. Like when Todd Bowley came in at Chelsea, apparently that the Chelsea Supporters Trust actually included in one of the criterias about what they want or what they demand from the new ownership is that it have anti-Glazer politics or policies. And that to me, if there's like any truth to that, I'm pretty sure I saw it written somewhere in a report. But I mean, it's the fact is that every other rival club models their ownership expectations off of not being like the Glazers or having anti-Glazer-like politics introduced in the foundations of that ownership. So you know just how bad that the Glazer ownership for Manchester United is. If all rival fans, if and when it concerns them, I'll say, look, don't be like the Glazers. Don't do this. Don't Glazer this. Don't Glazer that. Don't Glazer anything. And the situation does really explain itself on that.
The thing is, you mentioned Chelsea there a minute ago. Like when we sold our club last year, on the basis of all the Ukrainian war, you were absolutely correct. It wasn't just the Chelsea Supporters Trust that had certain stipulations. One thing that we did have, and I will say this wholeheartedly, and I miss him, even if he was a bit of a dodgy red, Roman Abramovich had Chelsea in mind and putting them at the top. Okay, he wasn't always truth about it, but when he did sell the club, there were certain criteria that had to be met before he would actually auction the sale. Is the team going to be invested in? Are you going to spend so much more on that amount? And obviously, when the Glazers bought the club in 2002?
2000, I think it was 2004 was the takeover process, and it sort of led into 2005 when they first officially took over. I think that was the first year that they took over.
Because one thing about it is obviously sometimes the conditions of the sale of everything, right? And you know what I mean? Because obviously if you're going to bring investors in, and that's what obviously Man United are looking to do now in terms of the Radcliffes or Glazers trying to network Man United and get more millionaires to invest, you're going to have at least a set standard for everyone to abide by. And that seems to be what, like you were just touching on a minute ago, what's missing. Because it's just one of those ones where like everything is out of control. There's no set level to how things should be. And obviously, again, we go back to the fact it's Manchester United. Now, I know a lot of rival fans will sit there and go, but hey, if it can happen to them, it can happen to anyone. You got to bear that in mind. And my mate just sat there and said to me, a good mate of mine just said, it's all the American owners trying to franchise everything. And it's like, yeah, you're right. Because at the end of the day, big up Stephanie, by the way. I didn't notice that until just then.
Big up Stephanie. Good to see you.
Thank you, man, for saying hello to me. I appreciate that. But yeah, like they want to franchise everything with American owners because in the way of American sports work, and it's all done regionally. There's no relegation process or anything like that. Their answer is, you're in it. That's good enough.
It's almost like the structure of the original ESL idea or the plot that was put forth is that a lot of the CEOs or chairmen of those committees were the American owners. And it was a very franchise sort of like all-stars league. You don't get promoted and you don't get relegated. Everyone stays winning.
Kind of glossy star crap. I hate that, bro. I hate it.
And it's like, yeah, we're gonna play. So Barcelona, we're gonna play them in Los Angeles, right, at like 8 o'clock kickoff time. The next game against Juventus will take place in China, and it will take place at a 3 o'clock kickoff in 5 days' time.
Super League argument. You're getting at the Super League argument.
That right there was just like, that just sounds like a franchise decision. Like it's not understanding like what a club, where football's come from and where it should go. Because it's like you wouldn't see an owner of a cricket team go into cricket and say, listen, I think we should create a new competition of cricket, but we change all the rules. We change everything and we make it so everyone's got to play in 3 days of each test or something. Or instead of like the 3 days Ashes test or whatever it is, I don't watch cricket, so I don't know what the structure of these events are. Instead of 3 days, we'll make it 10 days. Best of 10 days, right? 10 days of cricket, and all the players will be like, oh my fucking life. Why am I playing 10 days of cricket? 3 is enough. 5's that's a stretch. And I see there, yeah, money talks, you know, as Lee Gunn says it. Money talks, BS walks. And that's the thing. They'll sell the soul of whatever it is that they have as a concept or an idea of something that's been in place for decades, if not centuries. They'll take the concept of that and they'll say, well, I can make more money by changing a lot of different things. And it's like, but the thing is that the lifeblood of this sport is the fans. So technically speaking, you'd need to go to en masse seeing what fan reaction is. Because the thing is that if you change something without fan approval, you ultimately kill the interest in it. Because people with the original status of football, you get the people that absolutely love it. They watch it, they fall in love, and straight away they pick a club and they're tribal. They got tribal ties to it. The people that don't like football avoid it like the plague. They strictly avoid it. It's like, oh, I don't like football. So you already know where the fine lines of football support, like supportership, comes from. And if you change the fabrics of what those competitions are and what they represent and what they mean to people, that generations, we're not talking about just the fans of today, we're talking about fans centuries back, since the inceptions of these clubs, that if you change what everything was like from those days all the way up to today, and now you say, well, we're going to take us down a different road now, all of those fans will probably watch this new kind of football or new rules football or new competition. They'll go, no, I don't like this. I don't like this. I want to go back to the way it was. Here's the problem. Because it's all about money now. And when they've made the decision on money, good luck trying to revert changes. Because the new way, where they've changed everything, it makes them more money. But now the fans say, well, I don't like it. I want to go back the way it was. Too bad.
my mate just said commerce over culture right there, and he's listening to what you're saying, and that's exactly what he's just said behind me. It's commerce over culture, and what you've just said about the generational thing. And I didn't mean to interrupt. I'll shut up in a second. But one thing I will say, you've been bang on, because what were me and you talking about the other day on, I believe on Saturday, when we said about the culture of English football has changed, not because of, say, like how Spain, where everything's not privatized and some of the clubs are still owned by the fans. Because remember, all fans used to own clubs beforehand. They were fan club firsts before they became franchises. That's it. Bang on. Boo said it correctly. They were working man's clubs. Whether it be, what are Liverpool and Man United's famous rivalry for? The Docks. Why they started beefing about how the you know what I mean? There's what we call grassroots football. Grassroots football. And I think that is what's lost when you say a franchise. That's why they were talking about super leagues and stuff a year or so ago about, and you said it about why are Real Madrid going to play like at 9 a.m. in China? Because that's what makes them more money. And the problem is, and my boy next to me, it's commerce over culture, and that's the problem. When you're sacrificing what football is to change it, it's not football anymore.
No, and I think that would come to the point where people say right now that football is dying, or they consider it a dead sport now, because the soul of it got sold long ago. I mean, the introduction of big wages influences things to various degrees.
Maggie privatizing everything, mate. That, in the 70s, that's where it started. Maggie privatizing everything. Yeah. Everything has to be corporate. That's the piss take.
I suppose there's one example that I know that I was as United fans at the time of ESL, one of the things we were protesting for was the 50+1 with the fan split ownership. That fans have a majority influence on the clubs, and the thing is that a lot of people said, no, that wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. Oh, you trust this fan base to make all the decisions. I'm like, well, look at Germany. Look at the Bundesliga. Fans over there, their league is somewhat okay to such a degree that German fans, you see them protesting for other clubs in other countries. You see them turn up as away supporters. I mean, bloody Ajax fans have protested against Glazer ownership. What the fuck? Bayern fans have protested against Glazer ownerships.
That's true.
Fan bases of other clubs, right, where the fans are put ahead, or fan influences are put ahead of this whole play toy thing to the owners of these big institutions. I mean, some of these fans, they criticize the Premier League as, oh, look, that's a real super league there. Why do you want to sell your soul for even more money with some new competition? And the way in which Premier League clubs poach off of these other big European leagues, and we're taking all of their best talents, 20 team league with 20 teams that can buy half of even the best squads out there in other big clubs in other big leagues, and those sorts of conversations. But you see the fans from these other leagues, they uphold the purity of what football has been for the longest time. So you wouldn't see Glazer ownership of a Juventus. You wouldn't see Glazer ownership of any clubs like this whatsoever, and any clubs in these leagues, because the fans would be they'd be that pissed off, because it's more like religion to them. It's not a hobby. Like to most of these people.
Religion in England, that's the point. These guys, everyone used to work, and on a Saturday and Sunday, that was their way of forgetting. Going to the match, because people used to stand up in stadiums. Remember, Old Trafford and them used to host 80,000 people because they were standing. The culture of football. Well, because of seating, they had to decrease it because of seating and safety, because of Hillsborough, innit? But not going too far a subject. But with the fact of, it was people's life, if you know what I mean. It wasn't, because that's the thing. That's what a lot of people don't get, and that's what I say about it's lost. When you supported Man United 30 or 40 years ago, it's not because you were on the internet. It's because you walked past the stadium every day, you looked up, and you saw this big sign that said Manchester United.
Yeah, but do you guys feel like little clubs or the lesser clubs feel this way? Or is it just clubs that are fans that are around the big six? clubs that
You
are,
mean about the franchise thing?
yeah, because it seems like it's only, you know, this is only what you call,
Sorry about that, Fuzzy.
it's only
That's
relative to the clubs that are being taken over or acquired by big, massive billionaires.
Well, it's the American owners, isn't it?
American owners.
It's
and
the
Arab
American
owners.
ownerships.
Arab owners sometimes as well.
No, but at least Arab owners, when it, sorry, I know Booney's jumped into this conversation a bit randomly, but
Yeah, that's right.
at least with the Arab owners, and even when you say with the Russian ones, at least they looked after the clubs. Their aim was to get the teams winning.
It's more passion over project.
And it's passion over project,
not over profit. I mean.
but I'm sure Fuzzy can relate to this. When you look at someone like Manchester City and Real Madrid, they look to win relentlessly, regardless of how they get there. You know what I'm saying? And that's the kind of hunger that Man United, Liverpool, Chelsea used to have. Now, okay, Liverpool's a different story because obviously FFG, but particularly with us, and like, because I suppose with Fuzzy's analogies are brilliant, because one thing about it is like you can have money and spend it, and that's why a lot of people have moaned at Ten Hag, but a lot of people fail to realize that's not the underlying problem of the club. The infrastructure's breaking. How can you have Old Trafford leaking roof, bro?
And that's what Cristiano Ronaldo was talking about.
Yeah, but he was a baby because he knew what he was walking into. Right? If you're not ready if you can't stand the heat, stay out of the kitchen. And that's why I don't respect Ronaldo for that. Yeah, he went out like a crybaby. I'm sorry, he did. He went out like a crybaby.
He was a bit ostracized.
No, he went out like a crybaby, bruv, because when you fight for your shirt, and me and you were talking about this the other day, if you put on your Man United jersey, you fight for Manchester United. You put on a Liverpool jersey, you fight for Liverpool Football Club.
Oh.
You put on a Chelsea football, you fight.
I'll tell you.
That's it. The team comes first.
I'll tell you one thing with the green and gold things. You know that the people would make the jokes about Norwich scarves and all that. Oh, look out! They got the Norwich scarves when they're losing. The green and golds. Like, do people know why those scarves are green and gold color?
Actually, I don't. Do tell.
Because before Manchester United, the club was called Newton Heath, and that the club club colours for that were green and gold.
Oh yeah,
Green and gold to my club as well. So that's why with Manchester United is where everything became all like privatized and franchised by American ownerships, and that's why the green and gold is to say, well, this club was made by us, working class people. These are the colours of the fans that support this club. We were green and gold before we were red, black, and white. So that's why we've got Norwich scarves waving around at pretty much every home and away game now.
Well, Liverpool's kit wasn't red until the 60s.
Clubs are really going through that dilemma of.
No, because they don't get pulled left, right, and centre financially like the other clubs do. Because Liverpool did the same thing. Shankly in the 60s made them get a red kit. They never had a red kit for years. Liverpool were 1887 or something like that. Liverpool were founded for like 70, 80 years. I swear, what was your colour again? Because it wasn't red.
I think it might have been red and white though. I swear we've always.
No, you haven't rocked. That was Shanks. He changed that.
Made it all red.
Anyway, sorry, because now I've got someone behind me. They're jumping into the conversation. They're finding you very interesting, Fuzzy, and respecting what you say. Oh, you're speaking very well. It's a deep conversation.
It's a deep one. I like these kind of.
No worries. I'll tell you what, just a quick one on the Liverpool thing before the Reds. Apparently, I think I've seen a picture, really, really old school. I mean, this is back in the days where everyone had the World War I type moustaches and stuff. Apparently, you're wearing like a blue and white, like half and half kit with the collars, with black shorts. I think that's what the old colours for Liverpool were like, dating almost prehistoric times now.
Stephanie says red shirts, white shorts. Apparently,
I thought we had red and white originally. Then we changed it to all red. But
well, like that comes under the franchise thing. Like he was just now saying about his own color when they used to have the green and the gold. Man, it's how these clubs try and evolve, but it's how the evolution in this case has been stifled. Not because I'm not. It's.
Yeah, Stephanie here says decade of decay and decline would have been almost 2 decades if Fergie wasn't there. Thanks, Glazers not. Well, it wasn't just Fergie; it was also David Gill as well. Because I mean, those guys, it was like the manager or like, and this is the thing. I suppose now we should say that Ten Hag and guys like this, they're coaches, not so much managers, because managers were literally just managing,
Yeah,
and they had
31
all
World
sorts
Cup.
of influence and responsibilities, rather than just trying to figure out what bet is. But yeah, Ferguson had quite a lot of influence and power, but he had someone who was almost his partner in crime, but he had power in David Gill. So ownership aside, even with bad ownership, that was slowly degrading the club over time, but from the top, but to a point where it wasn't infecting the squad at this point, because all the people with power of decisions, a technical basis, were still football-minded individuals and were
Yeah,
all
Fergie,
backing the manager.
they could
and would
keep them
say,
off.
yeah,
Certainly agree.
anything that goes wrong with these guys, you let us know, and we'll make the big calls. And players, they respected that power of authority. So I think with this idea or concept that Sergeant Ratcliffe could bring that sort of feeling back, of course you're going to need to get rid of all the prima donnas now in today's team. So guys like the PR merchants, those guys I think will have to be kicked out on their arse. And then bring the players in that are much more humble with the smaller contracts. So we're not talking about, big money deals, 5-year contracts with excessive bonuses. Players that are not mercenaries or have the sort of mercenary factor about them, so that they come in, they take these big contract offers, and are, I've always loved this club since I was a kid. You love this club since you got offered that massive fat wage that's going to change your life. That's what that's where you started to love the club. But in all realities, I think, and this is the thing, we don't know for certain that this is going to happen. It's all just hope that Sergeant Ratcliffe can bring around that change, that necessary change that makes us more of a football club again, and give us that sort of feel. Because we've had the reports also saying that, yes, Sergeant Ratcliffe, just to reiterate, is going to have full control on the sporting side of the club. The Glazers can worry about commercial. Now, Glazers commercial, that's all talking about making money, right? For a football club, sponsorship deals and all that. Funding the club, cool. Maybe that is their department. Maybe that is where we're all sort of like talking about, buy a manager, sack a manager, and manager cycles and stuff. And I feel like that it's had this toxicity about it, where it's a poison chalice that anything that it touches gets poisoned as well. So for me, it's like, if you take away the influence, the Glazer influence from the structure on the sporting elements of this club, and you replace it with people who are Sergeant Ratcliffe's sole appointments, and these guys are like, yeah, this club is in the shit. Let's get it out of it. I feel better. I feel more confident about. We've got a bit of lag. Okay, no, we're fixed. But I'd feel more confident about my club. Now, it's not same ownership as Man City, right? Middle Eastern ownership, billions and billions and billions going in almost yearly, and just having bottomless pits of cash. You can still be successful with having to be smart with your spending, smart with your investment, smart with the movements and transitions and evolution of your team, your squad, your club, and moving with the times. Like, you can get around the whole, massive big buck spending. You can do it. It's not as, say, like buying success as what the method of Man City or a Real Madrid does, but it's still possible. But the fact is that it would be more of a football club, and we can start to talk about football topics in relation to Manchester United again. We don't have to talk about politics as the reason why we lose to Brentford 4-0 away, or we lose 7-0 to Liverpool at Anfield, or we lose 6-3 to Manchester City at the Etihad. We don't have to talk about politics. We can sit here and say the football team is not good enough, or the manager isn't good enough, and just being able to narrow these conversations down to just those points is where I want us to be able to go back to as a fan base, because it's politics that I find has divided a lot of people, because it's strong opinions that usually describe these situations the best. And a lot of people are, as far as opinions are concerned, modern day and all, people's opinions tend to serially offend the masses. So you get divisions and all of that. But if you take the politics out of it and focus it all just on football matters, you probably get a more unified fan base, a more collective fan base that sit together and actually say, well, we're all here to support a football team. We can all have our debates about players and performances and things like that on match days and whatnot. But we've got our togetherness again. We're all on the same page. We want the same thing. Just see our team win, to see our team be successful, to enjoy watching our team perform, and all of those good things. But hopefully the process that we are about to go on does take us to those points. 5 likes. We are on 5 likes. Do make sure that you are smashing the likes up. We are also live at the same time on Wolfgang Division's channel. The link from here is in the title description. If you're not already over there, do be sure to like the stream also on his end, just to show all the love and support that you can. One of the people that are over on Wolfgang Division's channel, Afghan C4, big up, bro. Always good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Fergie was a legend. He absolutely was. Stable, a cornerstone of football management, but also just football influence. Who's your mate in the back? Tell him to jump on cam. He's talking sense. I think that's to you.
Is that to me, Afghan?
Yeah.
If you want to see who's talking, that's my boy over there, Jay. I've known him all my
Big
life.
ass man.
I've known him 33 years. But he was just mocking your club right now. He was saying he was glad you lot are in the dirt.
Liverpool supporter, man. So obviously, I'm ready.
Oh, boo! Kick him out. There's a window just over there. Sam.
See, I told you he was like it. Why do you think I've been muting it now and then? This guy's been sitting there. I'm glad they're in the dirt eating a shit. So I'm like, I can't have him airing that. Come on. Not freedom to be horrible.
Wow. Enjoy. I'd say enjoy the banter whilst it lasts, because Sir Jimbo Ratcliffe, he might be coming back to cause more, some more heartache for Liverpool. He might break some more Liverpool hearts by winning us some more for our Premier League titles in the future.
Well,
you never know.
That's the thing, yeah. Okay, and we were just arguing about this off camera while I was listening to you, right? Fuzzy, when you're a team like Liverpool, Chelsea, Manchester United, and I'll stick to our 3 clubs, what do you consider success? Now, I'm going to ask both of you, actually, so 1 minute. So I'm going to ask you first, Fuzzy.
So, as success, just...
in your expectations as a fan, what do you see as success?
Well, from basics of a Manchester United fan, being someone who's attuned or accustomed to my club being a flag bearer, a torch carrier for football, just not in English football, but European football, and furthermore the rest of the world. So my expectations, or what I want to see my club doing as a demand, is to see my club, compete to be the best club on the planet, to win all the greatest honours. Now, whatever format comes in, I know Ferguson, he says it a couple of times, the entertainment of fans is also a big factor. For me, I'm a little less concerned about that now, seeing just the way in which other clubs can go about winning trophies, tournaments, every different way, or unique ways from each other. And I think as long as there is a serious nature, a togetherness, or a foundation that has the idea of being successful, like being the best in mind, is a project you can get behind and support. And I know that sometimes it's not going to be instant, but we want to see that the intention from all levels of the club are unanimous, that they are the same and pushing the same direction, and that the end goal is ultimately to be champions of whatever competition it is that you qualify for or that you're in. Be champions. And I think with United at the moment, as far as how... as far as how realistic expectations go, obviously we haven't got the squad to win everything that we like. You know, hocus pocus, your trophy is now in my cabinet, Tocus. Like we can't do that. We can't wave a magic wand and we've got trophies in the cabinet.
Yeah, we're
But
not Spurs.
yeah, well, I mean, they'll think they'll just, apparently Daniel Levy was searching up tabs on trophy cabinets, but he saw them get battered by Chelsea and then saw them lose to Wolves. He's like, "Nah, I'll close the shopping tabs for trophy cabinets." But
Empty your
it's
shopping basket on Amazon. Sorry.
about £50,000 worth of shopping cabinets on there in his basket. But anyways, the as for realistic expectations right now, for me, it's just seeing my team have a bit of heart and passion, because we've gone that far away from what United used to be about, that I want to see Manchester United, you know, when you step onto a pitch, you see everyone's trying to put in 7, 8, 9, 10 out of 10 performances, nothing less than that. So that if there's a player that comes off the pitch having a mediocre performance, I'm calling for his head or criticizing him to no end.
Right.
I
'cause
want
that's-
to see, and the problem is that we've got too many players that will come off the pitch having delivered mediocre performances. And if I were to sit here on the channel and say it's unacceptable every week, it would get boring. I mean, I'll try to say it's unacceptable in different ways that I know, but at the end of the day, I'll take certain, you know, happenings. So if we win a game 1-0, boring as you like, if you win something, it's a step towards finding something where you can build upon. And it's a starting point. It's like when you say you go back to square one. We're kind of sat on square zero. We're looking for where the square one is. So we get onto square one, and then you can start to build the path from there onwards. But the end goal for me is just to be the biggest and bestest club on the planet.
Of course,
At
that's
the end of
what
the
you
day.
could be looking to do if you're Manchester United or a City
Yeah.
or a Chelsea or an Arsenal.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel the same sentiments, but I can say realistically, we're in a rebuild right now, speaking for Liverpool. And
Well, yeah, you guys have similar problems.
At this moment, I would be content with us just competing for the title, even if we don't win it this year. I know we're not in final form at the moment. We're still about 2 to 3 players missing from our complete project, Klopp's second rebuild. So I think if we even finish there about second, top 4 in it, top 4 European Cup for me. That's my expectation for this season. For next season, after we've got, I'd say, another centre back to cover Verge, I would say we need definitely an out and out number 6, because McAllister, he can't do it. He's struggling.
Yeah.
And he's getting on.
Yeah.
He's kind of long in the tooth. And from what I've seen of him, he doesn't meet the eye test. So I'm not confident in him. And I think we need another right back.
Someone said, I mean,
more defensively sound. Because Trent, I do love Trent, especially going forward. I think he is one of our pivotal players, but at the same time, his defensive IQ is not there.
Would you say, bit of an interesting one, go a little bit off topic. Let's say, for argument's sake, if Salah gets sold, would you say it's a feasible option that Trent moves forward to right wing and then you get a natural right back in that right back position?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think Trent.
Because if you're looking with Trent's attacking output, with how he plays as the attacking fullback, I know he's been utilised as midfield as well for attacking output reasons as well.
Where you're going with it, but I more would prefer a dribbler speedster, something like what we've got on the left.
A Pedro Neto.
A Pedro Neto.
Or a Saka.
Kai Saka,
Yeah. Even I was shouting for a Sane, to tell you the truth. I'm not sure if he would come to us, but if he wants to make his grand entrance back into the Premier League, I'm sure Liverpool would be a great team to do it in. But, you know, I wouldn't want Trent to be on the right wing. I think right midfield would more be his bread and butter.
Yeah, that's fair. Big up, Song Eddie. Great to see you, mate. Hope you're doing well. Got 6 likes. I believe it. Let's see, 6
Well,
likes.
next year we're going to be champions. We're definitely no, because we're there. We're just 2 players away, and that can come in the January
It
window.
was 3 a minute ago.
Well, 3, yeah. I'm really pushing it. But if we get a centre back to cover Verge and we get an out-and-out number 6,
Do you trust FSG and your board to get you just what you need?
Yeah.
You
I
trust
think
them?
Klopp's been patient enough with them, and now the chickens have come home to roost. So if they don't do something now, it's going to be banners, signs, and symbols. FSG. There's no.
Well, good luck with that, because look how Man United were trying to get the Glazers out. Good luck with that, brother.
No, Liverpool's got a land of ways. No disrespect.
Now just whip out the Qatari flags. You'll get plenty of sourcing going on in Liverpool.
Sourcing with Qatari flag.
We'll get the Beatles. We'll even get back Cilla Black if we have to. All right.
Oh my God! We've got a ticket to sell. We've got a ticket to sell.
It's all blind.
Blind date.
Take over the fucking club.
Blind date with owners. Allow it, bro.
Red shirts, white shorts before all red for Liverpool. I think that was probably just before the Reds, full red. But Glazers didn't even back Fergie in midfield area using aging Giggs and Scholesy. Scholes did come out of retirement as well, by the way.
Yeah. Well remembered, Stephanie. Oh, thank you for the big up.
Oh yeah, so you started chatting from the other stream. So 3 likes on your other stream. All good
All right.
stuff.
My
all
side,
good stuff. So long as Jesse is
winning it all. Thank you, Yeti. Coming from a Forest fan who had standards with Cloughie. Come on. What are you doing here in my club, young man?
I want us to win it all, but I've got to be realistic. We are in an era of the big
No, we're not asking about realism. We're asking what you want from your team. That's it. We're not talking about realism.
I want it all.
That's it. And the thing is,
Freddie Mercury's.
The Man United situation reflects on us all. If Man United go down the pan, anyone can go down the pan. That's the problem.
No expectations, no disappointments at the moment. True. If you don't expect anything, you can't. Well, if you set the standards low, you can't ever be disappointed.
Yeah, but hang on, you're not
crash landings.
Yeah, but you're not making up Milk Tea FC, are you? You're Manchester United. You come in there with the knowledge that expectation is on you. If you can't
get my stocks big enough, I'll turn it into Milk Chocolate FC over there.
Your chocolate, yeah. Fuzzy loves your soy.
You're of your own prestige. That's what it is.
Well, no, because we were just talking about this with the David Gill thing, and and to be honest, arguably the same thing happened at Arsenal when David Dean left. And I was talking with Jess about this the other day. There were certain people in place in the board that even if the owners were terrible, they kept the club protected and they kept the club functional. And now with Fergie being that case, because he was so influential in terms of he was Manchester United, just like in the case of Paisley at the time when he was with Liverpool, or a Cloughie at the time when he was with Forest. These guys ran the club from top to bottom. There was no, it's this way or that way. It was their way or the highway.
You saw that with David Beckham when he got the boot.
Hey, dude, David Beckham, Nistelrooy. Man United got rid of so many players, arguably in their prime, because they got rid of Nistelrooy when he was 29. They sold him to Madrid. And he was still like banging. But as soon as you clash with Fergie, but the thing is, he replaced him with a Rooney and a Van Persie. So Fergie had that know-how of what to do.
I'll tell you one of the things with how the modern day footballers usually they have brands, right? The logos and all that stuff, like even like Messi has, Ronaldo has, I think Mohamed Salah has, and all of these big like individuals and brands FC players. I think Ferguson always looked out for those, and he always had a problem with players that were sort of like, I'm promoting my brand. It's like, yeah, but your priority number one's the football club.
Exactly.
So if you're trying to party with brands and do this and do that to building your personal image worldwide, to me, your head and your heart isn't on a one-track mind to be the best player can possibly be for Manchester United. I can think of 9-10 other players right now that want your position right now more than you do. You want your big brands, they want your position on my starting 11 sheet. And that's kind of, I suppose that's maybe the attitude thing that Ferguson saw from Paul Pogba, perhaps in relation to his agents, Mino Raiola, at the time, because he like super agent, he's trying to build up a brand image. God rest his soul and all. But for me, Ferguson was very quick to get rid of players like that, and I think now you wouldn't see that because brands are very influential in football. So if you get rid of a player that's got a big brand, straight away a lot of fans that are invested in that player's brand will go, no, what? How could you do that? Oh, why'd you sell it? Oh, that's ridiculous. Oh, screw you. Like, it would cause an outrage.
Sorry to cut you. Do you know what Fergie didn't have to deal with as much? The social media epidemic.
Yeah, social media. I mean, social media inevitably grew to a very, very high, or to a very, very big thing. So I think it's probably one of those inevitable things with football, that because social media grows, with growth expands influence, and with expanding influence, everyone thinks, let's jump on the bandwagon, let's jump on that motoring train. So yeah, to me, I think with the way in which football is right now, it's very difficult to sort of get back to the old days unless there is a new policy.
There's so much of a magnifying glass on everything now with social media.
I'd be interested to see if an owner or a club, maybe not at the highest level, but somewhere further down the line, were introduce a no social medias policy for its players as an experimentation for a pilot season. No player is allowed to have a social media active account or any representation on social media for a season, just to see how does a player interact. How does it interact with that?
That sounds interesting. I'd love to see.
I think it would have to be one of those that, because if you just enact it at a big club, it's going to cause all sorts of unrest. But I think if you get it at a smaller club that experiments it and they start saying good things, they're like, oh yeah, these guys they're focused, they're driven, they're not like, they don't hear what everyone's saying on social media.
Use that model. I think other clubs would at least take heed to the data and it shows. It's an interesting point. I would like to definitely see less of the social media influence on a lot of these players, because I think it affects their game personally.
It's interesting because as well with the campaigns, with the anti-hate campaigns, the advert that had Jorginho and a couple of other players in it, whereas like the words of like hateful words were appearing on their bodies and stuff. I was like, that's a campaign against hate against football players on social medias. But you wouldn't see someone like a Rodri come out to say, oh, I can't stand all the hate I'm getting on social media. The guy doesn't own any accounts. The guy's not on social media. And that's the thing. If you don't have anywhere to log into on any social medias, it's literally just your phone contacts to who you text and who you call.
Yeah, you've cut the cancer up.
Straight away, you've lost a massive amount of external influence on what goes on inside your everyday life. So a lot of people wouldn't think, I've got to care about what goes on my socials anymore. My football is my life. My football is my life now.
They get more attached into the social media, and even look at what happened with Maguire and his parents. You had his mum coming out to
and that's the thing. Arsenal have been having.
What happened with Ramsdale?
His dad came out to say, "Why are you guys picking on my son? He's not smiling anymore. He's a professional football player, bruv. You earn your right to play. It's not given to you." Sad, bruv. So sad.
Crazy.
And so, just to speak on social media influence and all of that, the fact that it's now become a possible, a feasible possibility for a player's family members to go onto a public place, a public platform, and speak on direct behalf of a player. It's like a football agent going out there and saying, "Oh yeah, my player is currently under contract at this club. Yeah, no, we've had conversations, last weekend or last night about, what would it be like if he was playing for this club and that club and all of these things." The fact you even discuss this on a public domain brings around speculation and controversial conversation. So now, because that starts sparking up, influence on social media starts grinding through gears, starts going up levels, and then the player, whether he consents to the conversations happening at all or not, that backlash, whether he likes it or not, is going to come back to him. And Ramsdale should have made very clear, or any player should make very clear to their family members, look, I know you want what's best for me, but you are not to go out there and speak directly to media on my behalf about me for anything whatsoever. If I've got something to say, it's me or my agent representation to the club. That's the only interaction that we will have to answer speculation or anything to do with whether I'm happy, if I've got a smile or if I've got a frown. None of that sort of conversation should be coming from family members to any degree.
It's unprofessional.
And if it's coming from family members, it's always gonna be kind of emotionally
Involved, yeah,
biased.
exactly.
And yeah,
It's your job, bro. You wouldn't have that at any other job. If Fuzzy goes to his job or I go to my job, oh, people aren't being nice to me at work. Well, that's it. You just got to get on with it. You still got bills to pay. And that's the one privilege these footballers forget. Because they're paid ridiculous amounts of money and the clubs look after them, they don't have these concerns.
You have to get on with public scrutiny. It's as simple as that.
Anyone has to do that, bro. If you play football, you put yourself directly into that limelight. So, like, that's why I prefer the football of 10 or 15 years ago, like when Fuzzy was just now alluding to when players become brands. And that's why Beckham went out the door. No one is bigger. We were all raised with this. No one is bigger than the club.
But that is a lot more what you call frequent now with this social
So media, exactly. And that's what makes it poisonous.
Yeah, toxic. Really
and
toxic.
You get parents coming out defending their children when they don't need to. It's just shut their mouths, bro. If my mum went to work at my workplace and said, be nicer to my son, you're giving him the when he goes home, I'd be like, Mum, shut the like, I wouldn't be rude, but you know what I mean? No, come on, man. We're all grown men. Like, you wouldn't have it. So, and it's an even bigger joke, the fact you're a millionaire. You're a multi-millionaire.
I know they must have been getting at Ramsdale on Twitter.
Well, he deserves it. If his dad's coming out to defend you, like you said about Maguire, there's no less of an excuse.
Go back to Daddy's right nipple.
Oh. Here we go.
It says, big up, what's the debate? It's just chatting about all things Manchester United, but just old football problems, modern day football. Ban the WhatsApp groups and drama is over. That's true. WhatsApp is another place with group chats with football players and all of that. They all text each other, so you've got all of these little WhatsApp groups. I'll tell you what, Manchester United player, the squad for Manchester United players probably has got like about 4 or 5 different WhatsApp groups.
Probably got FIFA groups.
Oh yeah, FIFA groups. Well, the admin of the FIFA group is Sancho. We all know that. But literally, and that's the thing is perhaps the WhatsApp groups because you might get the shit stirrers in the groups, right? You might get the shit stirrers in the squads. They will discuss something. They'll say, "Oh, this bloke from the
it's an anti-culture."
Yeah, you type it in. It's like, yeah, this person. He do you see how he was playing the other? Do you see how he was playing the other game? Yeah, no, I think he's useless, mate. I think the bloke from the under 90s is better. And it's like, shit stirring like that. It builds a disharmony and a lack of trust and bonding with the players of the squad, and that's why our team that could be a very direct intuition as to why our squad, the players in our squad, are so divided or just so in business for themselves. Like there's no real fight together, do everything together, fight to the very end. and perhaps while the culture, the players, the culture for the players at the club is very much toned to being much like a loser mindset. Um, Up to 6 likes now. Thank you very much to everybody that has been liking the stream. Just another quick reminder there, we are also live on Wolfgang Division's channel. Link is in the title. Do be sure, if you wanted to head over there to like his stream, do be sure to do that. The link is in the title. Which do be sure to subscribe as well. On the road to I think it's 80. I don't know if you're hit 80 subscribers yet, but very, very close. Baby steps, but growth nonetheless.
Just call me Aaron Ramsdale.
Yeah.
Sorry, I couldn't help but do that one. Sorry.
Part of the contracts should be no social media. I'll be interested to see just how many players would turn down signing for a club if those clauses were actually introduced in contracts.
They can't populate their own brand. We were just talking about this, about how people choose players. How back in the day we used to choose Nike and Adidas. It's like a brand, and if you're not loyal to it, you're absolutely the enemy. And it's like that's not how it works.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll tell you what. Just imagine if it spilled right down to grassroots. The brand, brand of boots or football boots that you selected or you bought from the shops dictated what team you actually were allowed to play for in grassroots. No one could give less of a toss back down in those regions. You buy some boots, they look nice, they feel good. Can you kick a ball and score a goal with it? Cool. If you can't kick a ball and keep it in the same postcode as the football pitch you're playing on, then you probably shouldn't be playing football. But it doesn't matter what brand you choose with these things. Like for players at the highest level, where you get sponsored by these brands, that's a brand affiliated to you as a player. You can put on a shirt. You can't just say, well, I can't put on that shirt because it's got an Adidas logo and I'm signed a sponsorship to Nike. So straight away, you tie yourself to those affiliations. Technically speaking, you've ruled out half of the clubs on the planet that you can go and play for by your own jurisdiction. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting career path, I must say, unless you go changing your sponsorship deals every other season, which would be an absolute nightmare for agents to do. Although possible, it would be ludicrous, a ludicrous thing to do. Stephanie Griffiths says clear, controlled communication needed, and I think a bit more strict nature about what players can say, can't say, what they can do, what they can't do. Above all else, one thing in tying into clear, controlled communication, what people say to relatives or friends, that those friends and relatives then go and leak to the media press, because you get leaks. The modern game has leaks. People are saying things to friends. Those friends go to the media and they say, hey, you can post this story. I'll give you a little scoop and inside sources on this. And that there creates problems because, again, it's the fan base with access to social media, so they read it, they speculate, they create topics, and it gains traction. And with traction on social media, it creates problems. So if you said things on social media, Cluffy would have smashed your phone over your head.
Fucking fact, Jetty. Fact, young man, why have you got that little machine out in my changing room, son? You're here to play football.
You're here to play fucking football. You
That's
want
what you
bloody playing football, not fucking Tetris. Stop playing Tetris.
Put it away,
play
son. You can play with something else. Play with the ball.
No, not your own balls. The fucking football. Stop playing with
ball,
those
balls. Thanks, man. I'm eating. That really makes my dinner go down well. I've got salt on it as well. I appreciate that.
just be sure that you don't have to pull anything out as well. So
Oh, you
bit of roughage, but yeah. What do you make of this hedge fund billionaire that has bought shares today? He was accused of insider trading in
We were just talking
2016.
about that a while ago.
Do we need more dodgy Americans? I think it's a bit weird that, well, I say a bit weird, but a bit, say, coincidental, or well, it's not really ironic or coincidental. It's probably what you should expect if a minority, official takeover, like share purchase, is about to happen. I think a lot of people that want to talk about or buying shares and things like that for an asset, if you know that this asset could incur or invoke seeing a massive rise of valuation, you probably want to get your foot in the door. You probably want to say, "Oh, yeah, actually, I'd like to get a couple shares on this, because if this person's going to take over and have influence and power, then fantastic, the value is going to grow, and then I can then sell my shares for an even greater price further down the line. And if you're a billionaire, you've got a lot of money to spill on buying shares. So you can deal with things like that. You can deal on getting those big payouts. Up to 7 likes. Thank you very much. Make sure you are also subscribing, not just to me, but also
Big up,
to
Carl.
Wrestling Division. Carl Rossi, legend. Always good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Cheers to you. Wolfie sucking at his balls. My,
I
oh
only
my.
lick my own when I'm alone. That's how wolves clean their balls, you know. Only when I'm alone. I don't shower, though. All that.
Be bloody flexible, I'll tell you that much. Real
You
one.
better believe it,
Yes.
sweetheart.
All good stuff there. So, something else that we can move on to.
Oh, thank you, by the way, Fuzzy, for really joining the conversation as well, man.
No, that's absolutely fine.
Been good, man.
It's
I
always
appreciate it.
welcome. Always welcome on this channel. Next topics of discussion, I suppose, are
Big up, Anthony.
the oh yeah, Anthony Herbert. Great to see you, mate. Hope you're doing well. Paul Mitchell and Dougie Friedman among early contenders to be MUSC's new sporting director. So Paul Mitchell, experienced in the English game. I believe he was at Southampton with Pochettino, was at Spurs as well under Pochettino. Obviously, not really had experience at a massive club, to say the least, but he's got experience in the league at building teams. And to be fair, Pochettino's Southampton team, that was a sick team, proper sick team, that. And then obviously under Pochettino, building a Spurs team that everyone was like, oh, we were so excited for this Tottenham Hotspur team. If he comes in, maybe he builds a really, really likeable Manchester United team. It might take him a fair few years to do it, but it's a track record of building teams that I think perhaps are not, say, proven track records to win trophies, but a team that actually builds a project and looks like it's going somewhere. Like it's building the foundations for a brighter future. So interesting one. That I think the other interesting name being brought up is Dougie Friedman, Scottish, former Scotland manager, current sporting director of Crystal Palace. I have not looked into into Dougie Friedman's track record. I think a couple of acquisitions in which Crystal Palace have made with some of their players that they've got there. I don't know as far as, which would I prefer, Dougie Friedman or Paul Mitchell. I think I'm probably swaying more towards a Paul Mitchell. For anybody else, who would you rather take as far as a sporting director goes from those two names? Would you prefer the sporting director of Crystal Palace in Dougie Friedman for what he's done there, or would you prefer a Paul Mitchell that's sort of been around quite a few different clubs? And
Me, myself, Paul Mitchell. Me, myself. Because he's got the know-how, and know-how is important in football, particularly nowadays.
Yeah. I think there was also another Liverpool supporter that had that sometimes comes into the comment section here, Amirali Ghaznavi. He said that he wanted Paul Mitchell when I think Michael Edwards left. He's like, yeah, no, I want Paul Mitchell at Liverpool. And that's, I think that in and of itself, a lot of people have said or clouded doubt over Paul Mitchell by saying things like, well, why doesn't Man City want him? Why doesn't why aren't Liverpool actively trying to get him now? Why aren't Real Madrid after him? Why Barcelona or Bayern Munich or these elite clubs? Why are they not looking at him? And I'm thinking, well, actually, there's another couple clubs I think he was at. I think he was also at, was he at Leipzig or somewhere like that? I think he has had a sort of built a high esteemed value with Ralph Rangnick. I'm pretty sure that he is in Ralph Rangnick's good book. So I think they must have had the previous working relationship there before. But yeah, for me, yeah, I think the people that say that have got question marks about him, I'm thinking, but with these big clubs, if you get people that say, well, they don't want him, so we shouldn't go for him. The thing is that they probably, with things like that, they probably wouldn't want you to know that they really, really want him. Because if they're like, oh my God, like we absolutely love this, we love this guy, we're so going to get him. Once this person leaves, we're going to get him, we're going to go out and employ him. Surely that's setting somebody else up to go take your option off the market. So there's either two ways in which you can do that. You either don't talk about this, that person, and you don't invoke rival interests, or you erratically speak about one person and you influence rival decisions, like maybe with the likes of Manchester City with some players like Alexis Sanchez or Fred, and Man City are like, oh yeah, we're so going to go for these players, and then Manchester United are like, oh no, you're not, we're going to nab them off you. And then Man City go, well, we're never really going to go for them anyways, because we've got this person now that's coming in, and lo and behold, they prove to be better. Things like that. So maybe those sort of tactics might be relevant there. I don't know how everybody else feels about that sort of topic of sparking interest. Wolf, what would you say as per like the question marks around a Paul Mitchell not being wanted by other clubs, like actively in media reports as such? Would you say that that's any good reason for United to not go after Paul Mitchell?
Well, I'd say no, because with someone like that, as long as they've got the track record, and obviously, to be honest, actually, that Southampton team, that was the team that had Mane and all that lot in it. So it wasn't, and Tadic, it wasn't a joke team. So you can, then really realistically, when you're hiring anyone, you can only look by what their past achievements actually are, if they have any. So I do like that Southampton setup back in the day.
Yeah.
And to be honest, actually, I kind of like Poch's setup when he went to Tottenham as well, because as we've stated in other chats that me and you have had, for the first 12 months at Tottenham, he didn't even spend any money, and he still managed to make them compete on most levels. So, like if you can get someone of that quality in there, you obviously need to redevelop the football side of the club, particularly with someone like Manchester United. Would he come in as a sporting director or just like an advisor?
Sporting director.
He's not going to say, get out of my club! He's not going to say that, don't worry.
Well, we do need a Phil Mitchell to say that to half the players in our dressing room. Right, get the fuck out of my club. And chase them out, probably threaten their kneecaps with a sledgehammer or something, just for extra.
I'm not chewing my bullshit. I've just read that. You're evil. I finished my dinner. You're an evil man. Stop doing it. I'm chewing my nuts. Like, thanks a bunch, bro. But is he coming as a sporting director then? Would he be a sporting director role? What position is he actually being given? This is what I want to know.
So it would be sporting director. So the person essentially replacing John Murtagh.
Well, in that case, then yeah, definitely, because these are the positions to get right.
John Murtagh, the guy that got in banana.
For who?
Banana.
He's talking about banana. They
Wow.
say that because he said
That's-
banana because he slips.
Well-
But I didn't say that, by the way, before anyone tries to come for me.
Banana peel.
Wow. Well,
Banana
John,
peel.
well, yeah, John Murta is it's a funny old story with John Murta because I suppose with him it's like he's been at the club for somewhere around 8 to 9 years now, and basically he's had these different jobs where the title's been changed but the contents of his responsibilities are the same. Like the time when the club announced, oh, we've got new sporting directors and a technical director. Here, behold, John Murta and Darren Fletcher. No, they're still doing their jobs that they usually have. It's just you've brandished it a new title. Like that's it. You've not changed anything here. It's not revolutionary. We're not, sign of the new times. It's more of the same. Continued crock of shit, if you will. But for me, the John Murta, the fact is that he's gone through all sorts to as like being like he does look a bit for a victim's type mentality. He makes a plenty of decisions. He does all of this. He does all that. Certain things don't go quite his way. He pleads to the media. He says, "Oh, my job is really hard. The guys in boardrooms around at other clubs, they don't respect me. Oh, they think I'm a joke." And I'm like, but that's with good cause. It's with good reason. Like, you have overpaid. The guys in your position and around your position above have overpaid for players for years. This summer was meant to be about not overpaying for anybody. Every single permanent transfer we made, you overpaid for significantly. Significantly. Rasmus Højlund was somewhere like 75 million. 75 million for Rasmus Højlund. I wasn't going to even look at a £30 million bid for him.
Well, we only paid 35 for Jackson, and people keep on getting asked about him.
He's a good player, though. I don't think he's worth 70 million, but I'd say around about 40, 50, because he's young.
It's Man United, but any English team gets inflated prices.
A trailer lot of potential there. Trust me.
Yeah, there's a trailer potential, but as far as we get inflated prices. Why did Chelsea pay 100 mil for Lukaku? Why did they pay 50 mil for Mount? These players clearly aren't worth that.
Rice.
No, but Rice can be worth that. To Arsenal.
I think even with over 100 million for Declan Rice, I think a little bit exorbitant. I think it's not just completely like he should never ever be that valuation at any point in his career. I just think from West Ham to an Arsenal, that sort of transfer, you would say, if I were to guess a value for that, I would sit around about 75 to 80 million. I wouldn't have guessed 100 million. I would have said 100 million if it was Real Madrid buying Declan Rice off of Arsenal. I would say that's probably where you'd say, 100 million on Declan Rice or something, that sort of work. But for me, that's it's by the by. Matter of the fact is that John Murta has literally made every single transfer, or any part of our board from the last 10 years has overpaid every single transfer. Ed Woodward's policy was just more, like the gun ho, it's the wild, wild west, whatever's we go our way and we'll splash the cash and all of that happy malarkey. But it came back to bite him on the arse, because it was like, well, you spent all of this money, paid massive wages. Now FFP have come sniffing around your case, and I'm just like, well, your wage structure is this big. Your allowance with us is about just there. Just a little bit above. You've got about that much room on your wage structure to play around with. So all of those superstar players you want to play or you want to buy, you've got about that much a player's worth of wages to clear off your decks before you can go start messing with those in those pools, right? Before you can start splashing the cash over there. You've got to free up that amount of wages. And that would be a reasonable argument, because think about how many players are on wages that are well over 100,000 per week. Well over 100,000 per week for starters. And this is the thing. the policy that was inducted was every time that Manchester United either qualify or don't qualify, they either get a rise to their wages or cut.
deduction. Yep.
And because we qualified for Champions League last season, what happens to everyone's wages?
Bumped up 15%.
20%
Oh,
increase.
20. Fucking hell.
Wow.
Everybody. So you think if there's about 10 players on 100,000 a week, right? And you say, right, 20% wage increase.
That's 120 now.
120,000 for 10 players. So that's like, what is that? That's 10, like 100,000, 100,000 per week.
Well,
Extra.
yeah, 22. You got to just do it. Put it this way: just do it that times 22, because that's roughly
Actually, no,
the size squad.
200,000.
There you go.
200,000 for 10. Yeah, so you can understand where the wage structures and the problems of which the policies that our current board directors have made, they've shot themselves in the foot now. And with these astronomical wages and pay increases and bonuses and incentives, all of that stuff, you've got to remember now, if you don't want that player here anymore, you've got to entertain that wage structure to another club. Because that player can just say, well, I don't want to get paid less. Well, I'm afraid that's the only option you've got, because there's no other club on the planet.
Are you referring to Maguire? Just offhand. Are you referring to Maguire?
Maguire's a prime, a prime case in point. If you were to try and sell Marcus Rashford, he's one of the highest earners at the club. I think about 375k a week.
I think you would more
thereabouts.
I think you'd more be referring to people like Cavani and Falcao that came to your club and nicked wages and set a precedent for nicking wages.
Oh, no, I can't.
Because Falcao and Cavani didn't really play no football, and they was getting 250 grand a week. That was big numbers.
Well,
300 grand a week. Remember when
yeah,
Falcao came?
I hear that, but
what was the? I couldn't tell you exactly the wage structure they was put on, but they was put on.
Well, that just backs up Fuzzy's point even more, because each one manager that comes in, and this is why about the new manager bounce thing. Each manager that comes in, as Fuzzy said, that every time a new manager comes in, the newer one that gap gets smaller.
Yeah, but that was from when that sporting director's been there.
Yeah, that's the problem with the structure of the club. They're bleeding money left, right, and centre, bro, and that's their point.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Hemorrhaging.
And another thing as well with regards to new managers taking over with new manager bounce, because you're basically, you get more and more of the terminology being used by your bosses who appoint these managers, saying, we want you to get the best out of the players here. And it's always the same topic of discussion. Get the best out of what you've got. The problem is that a lot of managers have got the best out of these players, and they've all ended their stories the same sad, sorry way.
Yeah, exactly.
And the thing is that the message isn't changing from the board. The message of instruction, of your intuition, here we are, welcome to Manchester United, this is your squad. We'll give you 300 million in the summer. Well, unfortunately now, 300 million in the summer for a new manager is not going to be feasibly possible. Because if you want 300 million to spend, you're going to have to now you're going to have to vacate a lot of players from the squads. You sell a lot of players, free up a lot of wages. Problem is that value of the players that you sell are massively diminished, but no clubs in Europe want to pay those astronomical wages. So every player that we sell is going to be set fit to getting a pay cut on their next club. How many players have we got that are prima donnas, right? Spoiled little brats that are going to openly accept that. You've got to now start thinking about, well, the people at the club have failed so miserably so far at selling players on top of that. So they struggle to get rid of players. So it seems like mission impossible for these guys who currently got. So Sergeant Ratcliffe bringing new guys in, they're going to have their work cut out for them. But if they can convince these guys, right, they've got to now challenge footballing ambition. And it's no secret. These guys the guys that we currently got cannot sell the players we have. It's no coincidence on that basis, because look at the way players have left. Big contract players, contract expirations. They just run down the contracts and that's it. they do the extended year, the year activation, bonus year activation, as part of protecting value to potentially draw interest for a transfer fee. But beyond that, the value just falls off the face of a cliff. So it's all sorts of problems with what this board has created. Let's read through a couple comments here. Is this food cam? It is over there. It is food cam over there. Dougie Friedman was our manager at one point. I liked him, to be honest. Yeah, fair plays. Fair plays. I did not know that. All I knew was basically just a quick Google search told me he was a former Scottish manager. Actually, no, that's a lie. It did say on the Google search that he was formerly a Nottingham Forest manager. Selective memories, I'm afraid. But
Wrong red, Fuzzy. Wrong red.
And yes, last time I see him, we're above us in the league. Wolfie's chewing his balls. Dear. Yes, it is my Fuzzy with
Gang
Wolfgang Puck the chef. We'll be nowhere this season. I'm sure that you'll probably get somewhere. It's just you might have to rely a little bit on other clubs falling off a bit, and maybe that you might get a golden opportunity if Brighton continue to come up short. If Tottenham continue to fall off, there's some slots that open up in the higher positions. You might be able to snag a position here or there. At least you're exciting to watch most of the time, Flossie.
I'll tell you what, no, Newcastle will be better wanting to get their players back, because this is the problem that all teams have had, even Man United, that in terms of because these teams, let's be honest, a lot of teams in the Premier League nowadays are fragile. They rely on their 11s. So when any one of their 11s get injured, whether that be Chelsea, if we were to lose, say, for example, Thiago Silva, Arsenal, Declan Rice or Saliba, Manchester United beginning to look like, if Casemiro and Amrabat are both injured, they've got holes in the midfield. Liverpool, vice versa, in terms of they still got not a proper six. If you like, these teams, they're paper thin. It's really crazy how they've ended up being structured. It's not.
I think a little bit of it might come from the way that Pep has gone about changing football, having the sort of first team 11s with a couple of players on the bench that are sort of first team quality, and everyone else is just sort of filling out. But that's kind of it. You don't have anybody that's sort of that might have a bit more of an ego-based personality anywhere further down that list. So basically, all the players that will demand the football are the set players that will play all the minutes that you'll sub on for and all of that stuff. So there's probably something to do with that. I think there's quite a few managers though in the modern game at least that all use the same sort of system with their squad management and all bits and pieces like that. So has Onana really said he fears for his place, and our number 2 is the person number 2 has trained with? I, to be honest, don't really know, Big T. I don't know if there's the genuine truth to that. I mean, we haven't even seen the number 2 play any games yet for Manchester United. So I think it's just to do with the. I mean, I've seen the report.
Big up AFC always.
Big ups, mate, and big ups to Jaminho as well. I'll see you down below there.
What's up, Jaminho?
Yeah, for me, I've seen a report about the guys coming in are concerned about Onana and his availability because of AFCON halfway through the season. That's your first team goalkeeper disappearing for about a month in a very busy scheduled time of the season. For me, it's if you've got an established first team goalkeeper, it's just as long as your backup goalkeeper is a good enough quality to see out for a month. It's like say your first team goalkeeper gets injured, like he breaks his wrist or something. You've got the backup goalkeeper. As long as the backup goalkeeper is not just catastrophic, like terrible, cataclysmic, and all of that, then you should be okay. But I think the thing is that I don't know about the truth on that report regarding Onana fearing for his first team place when I think he knows really where he stands with the manager and what his role in the squad is. That he was brought in to be the number one, and that the idea of Bayindir being signed was solely to be the backup. There wasn't talk about Bayindir taking an honours place. Maybe, you know, press briefings might have said, "Oh, we'll look at Anana's having a few shaky games. Maybe Bayindir might get a look in sooner than we expected."
What do you think
I,
the press? Do you think the press are picking on that and trying to create instability though?
I think there are quite a few cogs that do turn with things like this. It's like you look at Ramsdale Raya conversations when Ramsdale has a dodgy get. Oh, Raya's got to come in, you know, because you know Arteta signed him and all that jazz malarkey. Raya has a bad game. Oh well, Ramsdale might. Yeah, it's like when you watch games and Raya has a mistake, camera pans straight to Ramsdale,
Yeah,
and you see
yeah.
things like that, and it's just like, yeah, I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing. But for me, I wouldn't say that there would be any legitimate concerns about Onana fearing for his place. I think it's guaranteed that Bayindir will cover as goalkeeper. We've also then got Tom Heaton after him. Obviously, Tom Heaton's just Tom Heaton, isn't it? I don't think anybody's
Big up,
really
Scott.
fussed with that. I don't think anyone's really fussed too much with Tom Heaton. But I think once AFCON's all said and done, Onana will probably come back and just take first team spot. It's not like he's going to go for a month and not play football. He's going to be playing football just for his country. So it's not like an injury where goalkeeper's out for a month, comes back, and then you think, does he just go straight back in, or do you bed him in? You play him in a side game here and there, and then he gets back into the first team picture, like some other players in key positions do. But yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens. But I wouldn't say there's quite legitimate concerns
Well,
for
no,
that.
you know that. Okay, let's be honest for a second. We all know right now, even regardless of what level you think he's at, we all know right now that Onana's the best goalkeeper you lot have got. Because, and this is the one thing I didn't understand, and we talked about competition for places earlier. I don't understand why you guys have let De Gea go in terms of it. AFCON must have been in the back of someone's mind at some point thinking of buying him, because otherwise you don't know what you're buying. So, like, wouldn't even De Gea have been good to have there to chuck in the middle of the sticks when he goes AFCON, even if you're looking to replace him? That way, like, De Gea, even De Gea's point of view, he's got a way of getting his nose back in the door, you know what I mean? So,
Well, to be fair, he still has a way because he's still a free agent, David De Gea. So he might, you might. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's just like I didn't really agree to the way in which David De Gea left the club, because at that time I didn't really perceive the goalkeeper as a key problem. I thought it was all midfield and defence. That, you know, the way in Ten Hag wanted to play and all of that stuff. You know, 17 clean sheets for a goalkeeper. You wouldn't say based off of that, oh yeah, goalkeepers, oh yeah, biggest problem at the club. Funny thing is now we've got rid of the goalkeeper, everyone's happy. Unfortunately, you're not happy anymore because the same problems that you had before with David De Gea in goal are happening with your same God's right hand man picked Andre Onana, the ball playing goalkeeper, is sometimes cocking things up with
if
a
it's a
bad
style
pass,
issue, though, not just a
bad
goal.
distribution, right? Some
Yeah.
bad distribution. We've seen it this season already, and it's like these people were. It's just like, well, do you now see what we're talking about? Do you now see why we weren't concerned with David De Gea? We're concerned with that midfield. We're concerned with some players in that attack. We're concerned with that defence. You know, I wanted a midfield overhaul. The best I got was Amrabat. I don't even classify Mason Mount in that because the guy was a number 8. We didn't need a number 8.
No, you
We
didn't.
need that player. We don't need someone in that position. It was the defensive aspect and into the ball carrying for the transition. We lacked that last season. We needed that going into this season.
You know, Fuzzy, can you highlight that comment from Mama Flossie, because she's bang on, right at the last spot at the bottom, because she's just actually literally going on to what you're saying about the hair and everything. Because I actually think I think she's bang on with that, to be honest. Because like you just now said, we wanted a midfield fix and they gave us a goalkeeper. Then De Gea got blamed for it and kicked out the door.
Rumour has it David De Gea is still getting blamed for stuff that the goalkeeping errors, even though he's not at the club anymore. You know, it's like the haunted thing. So you get places that they're haunted. The ghosts.
Oh God.
The ghost of David De Gea, he still haunts the sticks at Old Trafford. So maybe it's one of those things you see Andre and Arnold make a colossal mistake. You're just like, oh no, David De Gea, what's he done? Wait, David De Gea's gone. What am I
Yeah.
talking about? Things like that. But yeah, totally agree with
Jackson
that.
misses a chance in our box. I don't go, Didier! Like, what? Like, no.
But you're Chelsea striker. Why the fuck aren't you Didier Drogba? What
You know
is
what I
this?
mean?
I've been sold a dream. I've been lied to. My heart, it hurts.
You see what I mean? It's the contradiction of logic and sense.
Yeah, I think it's fans looking for too much of a quick fix too quick, as opposed to or the quick fix that they want, because it's the thing that they associate most with problems and failures and issues at the club. Like if like you pick out a player, like I mean, you say with Jackson, for example, like most people will straight away say,
Sorry.
actually, is it? Try to make a viable comparison. Maybe. Well, I know Chelsea desperately. I think the next phase of Chelsea's team, it needs like a proper number 9 to bury its chances in clear cut chances with a bit of consistency. I'm thinking with David De Gea, the goalkeeper's position. A lot of people say goalkeeper's a problem, but we've got other issues. What would you say a player that your fan bases has sort of picked out as a problem in your team when you know what the actual problem is with your team? Who
Great
would you
example.
say?
Mudryk.
Yeah,
You know why? And I sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I knew what
That's
you were
right,
going to say, and I appreciate what you were going to say before you said it. So I sorry, that's why I just went Mudryk. I apologize. I didn't mean to interrupt. But yeah, that's one guy that because okay, and I'm pretty sure you've got the same thing with Mount. Arsenal with Havertz. You know, I think the only player that's the only group team probably a sign of attacking player or two that haven't been criticised is probably Liverpool. Because a lot of people say Anthony 90 million. You know, I mean, why spend 80 million on Mudryk? And the thing is, the problem what we had, and it's a problem that you have as well, and you know that because you've accumulated a number 8 from us. When Chelsea last season, one of the reasons why we were so atrocious was because our midfield didn't move. And you have the same problem when you guys don't have Casemiro and Amrabat. There's no energy there. There's no desire to hunt the ball down. Because I don't know why, but a lot of people seem to forget there's 2 ways of playing football, on and off the ball. And the thing is, the off, because everyone's fantasized and glossed over what Pep Guardiola idea of football. You play out for the back, you tick-attack all the way up to the other end of the field, you score a beautiful goal. It's not the manager's bounce, it's the Czech's bounce. Sorry, not yet, not yet, but the Czechs are getting smaller. But but we got told, oh yeah, why did you buy Mudryk? He's shit, he's this, he's that, and the other. And it's kind of like, hang on a minute, wait. Our problem was we had no energy into the team. There was no one looking to close down. Now we've got a load of players that start to close down, and as you saw it against City, they start to press. Oh, but you're shit now anyway because you're still whatever down the table. Hang on a bloody minute. Everyone's now crying about injuries, about they ain't got this one or that one. We've been dealing with that since last season. Why did you think we had 30 players? And by the way, we could only play 20 of them because Chelsea, I don't think any point this season we've never had less than 6 players injured. And I can tell you 3 we've not even seen. Lavia, Nkuku, and Wesley Fofana. And that's 200 mil worth of talent out of the 1 billion we've spent. So at least, that's why I always say about that stuff about, if you're going to have a go at me about the money you spent, at least have a go at me when the money is actually on the pitch. Don't say, say, for example, a lot of people don't rate Conor Gallagher, that he's seen as a problem. Another one, a great example. Everyone puts hate on him. Oh, he's rubbish. He's not good enough. He should be at a Crystal Palace. All that kind of thing. But hang on a minute. He's arguably been our best midfielder in terms of running around, pressing, showing energy, hunting the ball down. You know what I mean? Even Jackson scored from a shot that Conor Gallagher had against City yesterday. But no one will say that about Conor Gallagher. They won't go, "Oh, Conor Gallagher, he influenced." No, because in the narrative of the footballing world, he's already shit, and that's the problem. Same thing with Amrabat as well. People think, "Oh, Amrabat's shit. He was supposed to transition, like Man United's midfield." Yeah, well, that was on the basis that Casemiro was going to be there to partner him. That's the thing. You need to actually understand what the plan is, and as you said, like there's a very lack of understanding of the actual. Because there's ways we talk about it, like we'll sit there and get into detail, but other people's answer are, "Oh, fuzzy, Man United are in the mud," and that'll be as far they go into it. Oh, right, so why are they in the mud? Because our fan base says so. Look at the
Isn't this what Terry says about people's opinions on clubs and stuff? It's like, oh, they'll just tell you, "Oh yeah, you're just shit." Well, okay, then why? Give us the full rundown on your hypotheses to your conclusion.
But the thing is with Terry, it's a double-edged sword though, because and I'll give you an example, right? We beat Spurs the other day. What's the first thing Terry put in his chat? Chelsea is scary. Why? Because we played against the Spurs. That's not scary. As soon as they went down to 2, okay, let's be honest. As soon as they went 2-man down, everyone expected Chelsea to win that game, right? Right. So why are you now sitting there and saying that? Oh, because they're expected to win because they're down to 9. Oh, Chelsea is scary. Like, dude, just stop, because you're just bringing all this attention down. It just doesn't need to be done. Why does it matter to you so much what Chelsea do or don't? You're a Man United fan, and that's what I would say to Terry Flewers. But then again, I look at him as the content creator and not the Man United fan. It's clickbait.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. All goalkeepers make mistakes. The important thing is they don't keep doing it. To extents, yeah. Obviously, we have Scott Kirk. Make sure that you are liking. Make sure you are liking the streams. Smash the likes up and subscribe.
Sub to fuck, because this guy's a G, man. I love the way.
Yes, we are live. We are live in 2 locations, people. Hosting over on Art+44 channel, but also if you are over here, there is a link to Wolfgang Division's channel in the title, which is hyperlinked, so you can just click on it. It'll take you over to his channel, which is live as well. Do be sure to drop his stream a like, as well as subscribe to his channel if you haven't done so already. There's no excuse to have not done so. So do be sure to free hit the subscriptions, like how Arteta's phased plans are free hits. All of that good stuff. Anana has kept a lot more in his box now since the first few games. He's doing better. He is growing into.
I like Onana. I think he's a good goalkeeper. Personally.
He's a very modern goalkeeper. He's good with his hands. I just felt like it's an adjustment period where you will see under pressure, and I suppose it's not great if you are in a United team that's shipping this many chances so quick for a new goalkeeper.
Yeah.
For David De Gea, it's sort of he's seen the success, but then he's sort of seen that experience of transition, so he sees more and more coming his way, but he's just more adept to it. So he's great with shot stopping, and he sort of modernized his game a bit, whereas before he's just using his gloves, and then he became a bit more like a semi-rush goalkeeper. Players beat the last man, he comes out to match them. You don't go diving. He's like, "Oh, I'm going to save it." No, he just follows them. He just sticks with them and then saves with his feet. I think a prime game was Liverpool when they had Mario Balotelli and Raheem Sterling. The amount of time that David De Gea went out for one-on-one duels with the last, the Liverpool striker, and saves it with his feet.
Suarez! You're talking about Suarez. Sorry,
no, I don't think Suarez was there. This was later on.
You said Balotelli. He never played for Liverpool, did he?
Yes, he did. Mario Balotelli played for Liverpool. Sterling was there. I think it was about the time when Ricky Lambert was there as well. This was under Brendan Rodgers.
I thought he played at City. Or he might have gone there on loan and they bought him afterwards then. But
I think this was at the time when he was sort of over, and I think it was in Italian football, and he came over. I'll look it up actually.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Sorry, that's not relevant anyway. But go on, finish what you were saying, bro, because what you're saying was good.
But yeah, it's I think with now that Onana's been given the time, given a bit of patience, but also backing from the manager as well. Like
you're right.
he's not pulled the trigger too quick with dropping him and going with Bandier. So Anana's been given the benefit of the doubt. Find your feet, find a bit of confidence and a bit of form, and we see the benefits of that. Albeit that he still concedes a lot of goals because look at the defence and the way in which our midfield performs half the time. It's just a bit of a shooting gallery at the moment, and that's probably just between a split between how we play, but also the players that we have with the way that we're playing.
That's
It doesn't go, it doesn't go hand in hand. David De Gea was never going to accept being number 2. Probably not, to be honest. Probably not.
No, but on that note, it's about the good of the club. Forget what David De Gea wants. Think as Man United right now, you'd want all the best tools you could to do whatever. And I'm not being funny, yeah. Even if I'm like a player with Onana, even with him being new, you'd still have an idea of even just for basic injury cover. You'd still have someone there to cover for him anyway. I know, you mentioned the other. Sorry, Fuzzy, you mentioned the other 2 goalkeepers. But would you say would you trust any of them when Onana goes African Cup of Nations?
Wow. I mean, I don't know what I mean. The most I'd know about our backup goalkeepers would be Tom Heaton. I don't know anything about Bandier or how good of a goalkeeper he is because he's not yet played. He's not yet featured for Manchester United. I'd suppose maybe if we get into the run in towards AFCON that we might see Bandier getting a game or 2 to sort of get him into the groove a little bit. But he's got some big boots, some big boots to fill, and it's quite full on. In the middle of the winter period, you're jumping in from being the backup goalkeeper to all of a sudden you're playing full time for the first team for a month straight in a very congested
And then we do a drop you
calendar
again
schedule.
After.
Wow. So it's one of those things, and I think with Bandier, I suppose with we talk about Ramsdale situations where it's like, oh, he gets dropped. Oh, now he's not happy. He loses his smile. I don't think Bandier's the sort of guy, by the looks of it, that loses his smile when he understands the job that he's got to do. If Anana's gone to AFCON, I mean, Bandier came in after the fact that Onana was signed, so I think he sort of came into the club knowing full well, I'm second choice to this guy, and so far he's not thrown his toys out the pram. He's not complained about anything like that. So I think he understands more of what he's doing here at United. I think it'll be interesting to see if he does, have any complaints or problems. If he goes from starting for Manchester United to then being phased back out for Onana again.
If he plays well. If he plays well.
So I think we'll have to see how that transitions at the time. But I can probably imagine that he won't be kicking up much of a fuss about it, considering that he's sort of half briefed or half expecting this sort of thing from the start, considering he was signed to be the backup goalkeeper, and I'm sure he would have been told that. Before signing the contract, that's probably what the specifications were. It must be really hard for Onana having to play in a replica shirt.
Yeah.
That's actually funny. That's funny.
Yeah,
Supposedly, I don't know if you've seen the media reports apparently about how the kits are too tight or poorly fitted to the players, so they had to use replica ones because they were better fittings or ideal fittings for the players. Some of the socks were too tight for the players to get on and off, and the fittings were off. It's one of those when we talk about when it rains it pours at Man United. This is just
you know what I mean. A replica kit is more fitted to the players than what the actual club kit. Oh my goodness me!
Yeah. I'll tell you what, Big T. That's probably why he started to get better, because the shirt he was first given was too tight. He's like, can I get a looser kit? They give him a looser kit, and he's just like, I love this kit. Yeah, so it's probably
like a lady wearing a corset. Now that you can breathe, you'll be all right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, before we go, I want to ask you a quick one question though, and this is something that's curious because I know you're a smart lad about what's on the pitch as well, right?
Yeah.
And you touched on it at about 5 odd minutes ago. On the pitch, we'll go out of the boardroom for a second and go onto the pitch. Do you think, right, one of the reasons why Man United are so inconsistent and appear at times so fragile is because of Ten Hag's style, and he's just trying to implement it with players that are not good enough? Or do you think the style itself is flawed?
I can see there being various elements to all of those statements being truth or having truth to it. Where I think with Ten Hag, he's bringing a style that's more applicable to a European competition or a competition perhaps less quality. You're less punished, so you might find that maybe because it's better quality players, your system would be punished more. I don't think we're seeing what prime Ten Hag football is all about. I don't think we're seeing that in terms of pass and move or the patterns or options. I mean, Ten Hag's come out to say that I'm not playing the football I did at Ajax because this is Manchester United and I don't have the players to do that here. But it's sort of like, but you for a manager, you've openly admitted that you've changed something, in a certain way to be more accustomed to like long ball. He says that this team's more long ball. The players in this team are more long ball suited. So that, and to be fair, he has got a point. We do play a bit of long ball on the pitch. We see it with trying to get Anthony, Rashford, or Co in behind, or use Rasmus Højlund or somebody else as target man. So I think the thing is that one of the say if we compare, Ange Postecoglou comes in. He's got a Spurs team that a lot of people say that Spurs team isn't good enough to play football. He's just like, don't care, mate. I'm going to play my style of football. And then you see them play a certain way, and it looks good. It looks good. Get to a certain point. Obviously, injuries happen. Chelsea game happens. All key players, because you can identify key players in every team, like Kevin De Bruyne in Manchester City, still injured. You can still see that they do miss him in various capacities. But you'll get that just with every team. It's just, for me, Ten Hag, it's the saying, I keep going over this with this saying, that every manager can make the best of a bad situation. I do feel like Ten Hag doesn't do that. And we've had a few managers that haven't made the very best of a bad situation. But I sympathise with the managers to the point of which, you shouldn't be having to constantly live and die by best of a bad situation. You should be able to get a best of a good situation. Have the opportunity at the good situations. You only get dealt with bad situations. So it's probably one of those where you look at, if you're the manager of a club and you see your bosses, screw around with all sorts of things where you think you had one thing in mind, it doesn't come to fruition. You go through all sorts of different roads, different avenues to try and find a way to get to what your end goal is here. And it's just like, but I didn't sign up for this. I didn't sign up for this. I have to try and make do with what I can at the end of the day. Hands on. Every manager's got one hand instantly tied behind their back the second they walk in the club. For me, Ten Hag can do better. I do believe that. I think he can do better. But I think there's a pulling force. There's resistance to a Ten Hag push here. There's resistance. So he is being disabled, but there are ways around that to better the situation, not fix it, but to better it. And I think as long as you can better it, that might do you better justice, because at least the fans then would fully back you. The fans would say, well, he's trying his absolute goddamn hardest here, but we're not seeing that goddamn hardest at the moment. So it's drawing a lot of negative lights there. Just going to rifle through a few comments real quick. We'll do one lot. This is going to be a very short segment, a couple of players to discuss about. Jadon Sancho we'll talk about in a sec. 29, I want to see him play for Arsenal Football Club again. He is trash. Echoed sentiment among many in your fan base, AFC always. Still, Nunes should be doing better. To be fair, in various aspects, yes. I think he needs to be much more clinical for the chances he gets. I'll tell you what, I saw someone on Twitter get clipped up where he compared Manchester City's key players in Manchester City team. There's one or two elements that Man City have that Arsenal don't have. Or don't have an Ake. I don't have. I'm trying to think who else it was. Kevin De Bruyne or some players like that. They're missing a couple of players like that. But everyone else, Arsenal do have the equal to Manchester City. And someone comes back and is like, okay, who's the equal to Erling Haaland? Man came back and said, Kai. Man, go put yourself a 6 feet under in your garden, buddy. Why the frick do you think?
You must have meant that for the price tag. Because it's roughly the same, isn't it? 63 to 65. You must have meant the price tag, man. That's the only thing that makes sense.
God only knows. God only knows. I like Gallagher. He's a hardworking player and gives it all. Sometimes you just need. Sometimes that's just the simple things you need from players. Just a grafter, someone that just pulls their weight, like I suppose a Darren Fletcher or no, Ji-sung Park. Ji-sung Park
Fred.
for Manchester United.
Fred.
Well, Fred, to extents. I mean, the guy was really hella inconsistent. Sometimes but Ji-sung Park, I think, was massively understated. Just absolute ridiculous workhorse.
Count for Liverpool. He used to run like a sod. I used to hate that guy. He used to motor up and down the right and in the middle, man. I used to hate Count because he was used to score headers against us.
Yeah.
Runs like a
I like Magic as well. He has a lot to offer. Watch his space. Probably got a lot in the locker. He is an Arsenal fan. True. Is it worth signing in Arsenal history, especially with 65 million price tag and be on 330k a week? Don't forget wages.
That's right, you could have had a Lukaku. Or a Pogba. Relax. Don't worry. 100 mil each.
It's a puzzle as to what Arteta ever saw in him. Any football that can't find their feet should be done for fraud. Does Ramsdale bench Onana? Not for me. Not for me. I see you shaking your head, so I think that's a mutual agreement on that one there. I think the players are flawed, 100%. There are many flaws with United players at the moment. It's a puzzle. Whatever the Cronky saw in Arteta, an explanation that this was the cheaper option to bring in Arteta instead of getting an elite manager. Either that or they saw a PR exercise that they thought, I'll test the waters with this because the mood was sour with Unai Emery. Much like, right? And I think this might have come in at the same time that this might have been reflection from the Arsenal board watching what United did. Jose Mourinho left on a sour note. The club was unhappy. Solskjaer was brought in. Be Mr. PR guy. Be the guy that puts smiles on faces. Get people reminiscing of the past.
Same thing with
and
us.
what happened?
Didn't work.
What happened? Everyone got on board with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Ole's at the wheel. That song started ringing around home and away. Mikel Arteta comes in after Unai Emery, and it's just like, well, I know it's his first job and it's at an elite club, but at least the fans might like him because he's an ex-player. If that be the case, then technically you should have kept Lundberg, shouldn't you?
Or got Ancelotti. He was at Everton at the time. That was insane, man. I'll never forget when Everton announced Carlo Ancelotti as their manager. That was crazy.
These players are not performed for loads of managers. I don't think it's Ten Hag. Not all Ten Hag, I'd say. I think that the most accurate way to describe it is it's not all Ten Hag. Ten Hag has some things to be blamed for, but for what he's blamed for, it's like you can sympathise with him, but you can do better for yourself.
70% United, 30% him, I'd say.
Yeah.
Because he said things that gets himself into trouble. That's what I'm going to say.
He's a problem. He's not the problem. But on the basis of the problems, Ten Hag problems about this small, players' problems about this big. So it's still a problem, though. So we'll have to see. You could be right. Before it was announced, honestly, I thought you were going to get Ancelotti. Arteta was going to Everton. That would have been...
they would have won the league by now if that was the case. With the squad
possibly. Well, I'll tell you what, they would have won a trophy. Guaranteed they would have won a trophy, 100%. these players just think they are bigger than the club. Major clear out needed. I'll tell you what, you could probably do the test on players that think they're bigger than the club at a lot of the top at the big six, and you might actually find a lot of players would end up being kicked out for it. For
Mount
that.
at Chelsea, even though he was homegrown.
Arteta was more of a legend at Everton than he'll ever be for Arsenal, so for Everton not to go for Arteta says it all, really. True. Keep Hoyland, Martinez, Casemiro, Wan-Bissaka, Sancho, Anthony, and Onana, and ditch the rest. And Amrabat, keep Amrabat, I think is what Yeti's saying there. I don't know about Sancho, and so that taps into the conversation that we're about to have about Sancho being linked to Juventus and Dortmund, supposedly for loan deals. For me, I think for the guy, his race is run at Manchester United. I think he's intentionally burnt way too many bridges to stay at this club. Way too many bridges. And for me, I think it's just the case that he's got to go start afresh, start a clean slate somewhere else. I don't know how you feel about that. If you believe that it is, Sancho should just go somewhere else and just start afresh, start a new chapter, or whether you think there's any hope or life left in a Sancho as Manchester United player.
Well, to be honest, I actually feel sorry for Ten Hag when it comes down to Jadon Sancho, because when you look at the amount of patience that actually Ten Hag has displayed with him, not only this season, and
gave him 3 months off last season.
I actually think that's very spiteful and disrespectful to Jadon Sancho, because at the end of the day, right, this guy stuck with you last season. He didn't try and bin you. He didn't try and blame you. He let you take 3 months off for yourself. You've come back, and because you're not playing, it's crack. What happened to the days when people used to fight for their place? This is what I don't respect about Jadon Sancho and even Anthony to a degree, by the way. Big up Yeti for bringing that up as well. It's because they're names. They're expected to play. Anthony because of the price tag, and Jadon Sancho because of the reputation he had at Dortmund. He was supposed to be the next thing since sliced bread.
And he has a big wage as well. I think over 300k again.
Well, again, if you're Man United and you're a Man United fan, what are you paying for? A guy that wimps out halfway at the beginning of the first like last season and then cries halfway through this one. No, it's for real, Fuzzy, because this is one thing I
was after that. I was laughing at this comment. It's the same comment that Yeti posted earlier, but he's taken Anthony and Sancho out of it.
Well, there you go. But,
so I think he is modded over that as well.
But yeah, it's a strange one because I do feel that and this is my personal. I like Ten Hag. I like his idea of football. And before anyone says, because I see his Ajax team quite regularly and quite closely, and before anyone says to me about Simon, you don't watch this league or the other, yes, I fucking do actually. I used to follow every single major league on the planet, the big six, meaning England, Italy, Spain, Portugal, France, and Germany. But the thing is with Ten Hag's football, and this is why I asked you a moment ago when it comes to the Sancho thing, it's a very, how can I put it? His style at its core is a very attacking, expressive style. Right? Now, when you look at the players you've got, the Garnachos, the Jadon Sanchos, whoever you want to put it, these guys are all, because but you can basically say it's an Ollie team still. The majority of the players are still Ollie's team. And like Ollie, like you said, Fuzzy, likes to play counter-attack and long ball. To try and, because basically we all know they're trying to exploit the pace up front with Rashford. Like at that time, it was
Johnny Evans would have been a perfect fit for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's system.
He's a good player. And I know a lot of people mock Johnny Evans, but he's actually a good player. This guy's 36. He's the English equivalent of Thiago Silva in the sense of he's probably the only one in that United team that can say I've won a Premier League. And yeah, it's because we go down to it again, like Maguire and Evans. You guys have the same centre-back partnership that Leicester City had in 2018. What? Like the recruitment, right? I don't mind if you, and we'll go back to Sancho again because I don't want to go too far off topic. But with Sancho, you are supposedly a world-class talent. Where is the need in your soul as a professional footballer if everyone can get Dash? At least Dash will maybe make you defend. Yeah, in terms of Sancho, you came with a world-class reputation. Let's be honest, because When he came, it was supposed to be a coup signing for Manchester United and all that kind of thing. And you name me one time you've actually seen that guy fight on the pitch. Now, I'm not being funny, and this is one thing I will say about Kai Havertz over a Jadon Sancho. Even if you don't like Kai Havertz, at least he puts a boot in. Even if he does get himself set, even though his quality's not there, he'll try. Sancho, for me, he's one of those guys, unless he's on the ball, he's not interested. And that's not good enough for a Manchester United. That really isn't. If you're like we said about the heritage, if you look at the heritage of the wingers of Manchester United, you're thinking Ronaldo, Scholesy, Beckham, when he used to play wide right for you guys, and he was just like the free kick monster that he used to be, or still is actually, because I've seen him put like balls in like beaches and like dustbins like perfectly and all that kind of thing. Look at the club you're at. Display the same, like you said about the culture. It's the history of the United. These guys fight for the shirts, and it's not United's fault that the modern generation of footballers happen to be watered down like saps. Like, because I'm not being, and social media's helped project that because they cry, and Amrabat looks like a championship player to me. He's not been our saviour as build. That's because he's always exposed Big T. You can't blame Amrabat for being put into a system.
For me, I think with the Amrabat argument is that I was more looking to it being he's the partner to Casemiro, because one thing is that you find a lot of players, they don't say track back or track the runners or cover defensively for the sole CDM that usually you get with other teams. When they go back into defensive ranks, you will see players filling in positions where they are watching each other's backs, they're catching runners, they're marking players.
You don't get that.
And with Manchester United, there's almost a bit of neglect in the centre of the park. But if you've got someone with a better defensive work rate next to that CDM player in Casemiro, you've essentially got coverage in almost all times in the centre. Because you might get Casemiro will go forward, you might get Amrabat will go forward. But at the same time, both are high defensive work rates, so both will come back to lock out the centre of the park, and that's where we've been exploited a lot of the time, are the balls or transitions through our midfield and through the centre. Now, to be fair, we've conceded a lot of our goals this season have been conceded from corners or from wide positions, but the transition of play, the ball carriers are just running freely through our midfield without challenge or without passing lane being cut. So you see a lot of the balls, it's easy to then feed it out to the winger because there's no one to cut off that pass lane. There's no one in that position to stop you from carrying the ball into space to pass.
It's a free-for-all, like you said earlier. It's a free-for-all.
So it's easy for our oppositions to begin attacking passages of play, whereas with a team, if you lock out that position, they've got to find different ways of starting their attacks. They've got to find different ways of building up. But if you open spaces, they can say, "Oh, cool! Thanks for the space for us to operate." So you might not be able to shoot so freely through there, but look at all the passing options I've got on. So it's easier, and that's the thing. Even with smaller teams like Luton, if that space is opened up, the passing lanes become available, the options increase, players of semi or half decent quality can pick out a simple ball into a danger area, one simple cross, and they can score a goal from it.
And they look to squeeze that space out, by the way, with a low block.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is too exposed in the middle. So for me, it was never really about signing Amrabat to be just Casemiro's replacement. We wanted to see what I wanted to see, both of those players playing together to see how they would defensively cover each other, and almost influence the way in which the opposition plays in the final third, or second into final third. Is everything off the back of a month-long purple patch? Is another one of them players who had one good tournament, got a big money move and dipped afterwards. Yeah.
I don't agree.
He had a good World Cup. Fair plays to him. Part of the team of the tournament. But I've seen do some bits for Fiorentina in a less
Bro,
quality
he
team.
moved Rice in the final last season. Rice lost that battle, clearly. Easily he lost because Amrabat was all over him. And I'm not being funny. Like Fuzzy just said, you can't blame a guy for a flawed system. It's supposed to be a double pivot. All teams, more or less, nowadays, with your Liverpool, Man City, more or less operate with a double pivot.
It's like with Rodri and Stones for City last season.
Yep, Stones will push up. Exactly. And help cover the space with Rodri when he goes forward. Exactly. Same thing with us. When Enzo goes forward, Cancelo stays back. That's part of the reason why Cancelo looks shocking, because every time we play out from the back and it passes into midfield, 9 times out of 10, Cancelo is the one to receive the ball. Now, whether it's a good pass or not, or a wise pass or not, is different, because he could be man-marked, and yet Sanchez will still pass to him. But it's Cancelo that looks like the one who's failed, not Sanchez for being more aware of what's going on.
Sancho was our last forward player to score at home, I think. Starting. That would actually be quite catastrophic if he actually is the last player to score at home. I think that's in the league as well. I mean, that's crazy, isn't it? Our combined, like, we've got about 5 to 6 players in attacking positions, right? That between them have 1 Premier League goal combined. 5 to 6 players in attacking positions, 1 Premier League goal. And how many games have we played in the league? 10, 11, maybe 12? That's mental. Every other team has got a front 3, right, that have all scored somewhere about 12, 13, maybe 14 goals between them all. So the attacking departments for these clubs, other clubs, have almost matched goals to games, and then you've got other areas of the pitch that also can contribute outside of that. Man United have got 6 players worth of 1 Premier League goal. It's not not great. But for me, I want to see Pellistri. I want to see Pellistri get a run of games on the right. I think Anthony's not quite cutting it for me, and Pellistri, every time he plays for his country, does really well. Every time.
Oh, was it McTominay as well? He's just, how many home goals has he got for you guys this year? No, that was a couple of weeks ago.
3. I think he's 3. 3. So he scored 2 against Brentford, and scored 1 against Sheffield United. He had the 1 ruled out against Fulham.
That was really what. Yeah, it was ruled out. That's right. So,
yeah. It's a shame that Hoyland, he scored quite a few goals in our attacking department. Just unfortunately, he's just in Champions League. He's on about 4, maybe 5 goals for Manchester United, but unfortunately, he's not the Premier League. So Amrabat's been shambolic. Amrabat is woeful. Amrabat, he looks confident because his midfield competitions are Eriksen and McShane.
Well, that's not his fault. He's part of a bad midfield. That doesn't make him a bad player. You could argue the same thing about Rice with Arsenal. With Jorginho, Havertz, and Kai on the pitch, you guys look shambolic in the midfield. Is that Rice's fault?
Amrabat is a good player in the wrong team. I think the wrong team of players, and I think to various extents just the wrong kind of setup, I guess. Not quite built to get the perfect tune out of Amrabat just yet. I mean, we might see changes happen over the next few transfer windows, based off of what happens with our board and all. Man looked awesome for his country. Yeah, completely agree. Amrabat looks like an all-time legend of the game compared to that woeful Scottish Scott McTominay. It looks good at Fiorentina because Serie A is a different league and slower pace than the Prem. You've still got to be a player to dictate pace of play.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're doing it on your own, even so, I mean, the fact is that you have to show the qualities to be an idea for a club like Manchester United or a Premier League club to sign you. Now it's always a talking point. You're a player from another league to come over into the Premier League. It's an adjustment period. You've got to go up a level, go up a gear. But if every reason as to why players are trash whenever they come from other leagues, then maybe we should just not sign anybody from any other leagues ever. Maybe we should.
Go for
Maybe
Ed.
we shouldn't take chances on anybody. Maybe Erling Haaland scored loads of goals for Dortmund. Man City shouldn't have taken a chance on him. Shouldn't have done that. Man's a cyborg, but Christ, we want humans here. We want the best humans at the club. Yeah, we don't want Bundesliga cyborgs. We don't want that. Those sorts of conversations would start becoming more and more relevant if that's what you say, live and die by. That players in other leagues wouldn't be good in the Premier League just simply because they're in that league. That some players it happens to, others they do best. They do good. They do equally as good. It's like another name for a CDM position, Fabinho from Monaco. He was great for Monaco in the French league.
Nicholas Sewell at Red Bull Leipzig. RB Leipzig.
Liverpool signed him and ends up winning a Champions League, a Premier League, domestic cup double. So he comes in and actually gets into some people's, although it's kind of delusional, all-time 11s. It makes it into people's all-time 11s. But
Liverpool
he came
fan.
from the Farmers League.
Well,
So
well, you can't really refer to Germany or anything as a farmers' league because technically speaking, most teams in other countries have better European history than what most teams in England do. So I do think that's a little bit of a cheap shot, and it's a bit of an under.
Well, I don't say Farmers League as like that's what I like fully believe in, like leagues as like the Bundesliga or Serie A or La Liga, because I mean if they were really farmers leagues and the teams that win them every year, and if you sign a player from those clubs, they come over and it's like no, they're going to be shit, they're going to flop. Why have those teams like the Spanish teams? If La Liga's farmers league, why does Real Madrid or most Spanish teams play English teams off the park?
Most of the time, yeah.
Most of the times they leash us up and walk us around like we're bitches to them.
Yeah,
After time.
technically they're on a better level. That's why.
And that's the thing. So talents, it depends. Like various teams will have players, and I think that's just the way in which it matters what sort of a team you bring a player into. Sometimes it's not going to work, but sometimes you do have to take the chance to have the idea and vision in mind to actually sit to reap the rewards for it. So for me, it's got to be one of those where I think take the chance if it makes sense to what you're trying to do. So Amrabat, I think what Ten Hag in his mind, he says, well, I like Amrabat, I want Amrabat. So it makes sense to say we'll sign Amrabat because the manager wants him.
Well, he's cheap as well anyway. He's only 25 mil, isn't he?
Well, even then, we're too broke to do a permanent transfer. He's on a loan. It's a loan with obligation to buy. So I mean,
well, you're going to sign him, man. But you're gonna have to sign him in the next season. But either way, I'd rather take Amrabat than Kyle Havertz.
Well, I'll tell you what Amrabat would do. Amrabat would probably give better defensive assurances to that Arsenal team. It would provide a better balance, I think, to Arsenal's midfield as opposed to Kai Havertz, because at the moment with Declan Rice and Jorginho, you've only got one defensive work rated player in that team in Declan Rice. Jorginho's not really a cut out and out defensive midfielder. He's a box to box with a technical. Yeah, he's just a player that's got technical abilities, not a lot of pace, but he tries to use street smarts in how he dictates his position on the pitch. But Højlund has been good. The only problem is he hasn't scored in the league. He looks competent though compared to other players. True. If somebody has more goals than the fours combined, he actually has. He scored more in the added time at the end of one game than all of our attacking options have combined. Højlund's the best signing for me. Probably the most
impactful.
I'd say impactful, but the one that probably makes most sense from starting from the point of the summer transfer window. I think having a young striker to come in, because we haven't made a signing like that for a long time, and it's a department that we needed to have a player signed for. So, yeah, with somebody who has more goals against Brentford in added time than your whole front line this season. In the league, at least, yeah. Looks very promising, Højlund. Yeah. hearing about Eriksen injury is probably a good thing for United fans. Don't know about Eriksen injury. It might be one of those where it's like
he needs to stay in a 10 role, not an 8 or a 6. That's the problem with how Ten Hag plays Eriksen. He never plays to Eriksen's strengths. That's the problem. He's the equivalent of you're making someone do a job you know they're no good at.
Yeah, 100%. Quick one as well. I'll make this the last point of the show, and then we'll start wrapping things up.
Good stream, everybody. By the way, fucking quality. By the way,
got on for nearly 2.5 hours. Literally,
I know. I was
30
just
seconds
looking
away
at
from
that actually because my mate's been gone about an hour and he was part of this. So it's like, wow, it's been going on a while.
Well, next show he can, if he's not at your place or is at his own place, he's more welcome to pop on to stream, webcam or no webcam, up to him. Not welcome to come on and
my mate
do a
was saying,
show.
when I had it on mute, he was actually speaking very highly. He's so elegant with the way he speaks, isn't he? I was like, bro, that's why I enjoy talking to this guy. And it's the first time I've been on his channel. That's why, even though you're here, I'm not fucking switching it off.
Well, thank you for showing loyalty. Good loyalty, Wolf. But yeah.
Man, you're my boy, man.
Quick.
You actually don't come on my channel every week now. Come on.
Yeah.
Like,
Big man too.
as long as I live, he'll be on there, mate. As far as I know, like, as long as I live, he's classed, this lad. You know why? Let me little quick story about you. When this guy hit 100 subscribers, right? There was me and my ignorant self. I just thought, hang on a minute, I've signed up to him, and he had a little stream about it. And I thought, all right, he put my name in the title, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But when I actually got into the chat, he was like, the man of the hour. And I was like, who the fuck is he talking about? And he's like, Wolfang Division. And I was just like, oh, that's so sweet, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's not just chocolate what he drinks, he's chocolate in his art as well. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I call him hot chocolate. I know it's a bit silly and all that, but I showed the guy love because he showed me love. So it's just, this guy, he's top notch, this lad, boy. I hope any one of the YouTubers I hope make it, I'll give him my subs if I could. He's a Jew, man.
Yeah, big ups, man. But yeah, quick one. Yeah, you discussed this before the show, and you were sort of like head and hands a little bit with this. Casemiro, or United will consider cashing in on Casemiro. United's incoming minority owner, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, who will lead the club's sporting department, is believed to be open to offers for the 31-year-old to help fund an Old Trafford rebuild. Now, interesting a report. This is from TalkSport, so you might as well call them Talk Shite. But that to me is like, but you're going to sell a player to fund structural integrity of a stadium or to put funds aside from it. Technically speaking, we've heard various elements of Sir Jim Ratcliffe saying that he's going to bring funds externally to put towards Old Trafford. But just the case in point for selling Casemiro for any funding, would you say that that's any feasible ideas for this club in the near future, or do you think that's sell Casemiro? That what planet are you living on?
Yeah, point two, sir. What planet are you living on? He's arguably United's best player. He's on his day. He's the best defensive midfielder in the league. And I'll tell you why. Because not only does he have the quality, not only does he have the technical ability. Oh, good night, Mama Flossie. We're going to wrap this up soon ourselves.
Yeah.
Good night,
big ups, Mama Flossie. Thank you for watching, Mama Flossie.
Yeah, everyone, man. I didn't realize
it
was doing our stream. Big up, everyone, man. Thank you, everyone. But just briefly, big up, big T. I'd make Casemiro the captain and sell Bruno. Yeah, maybe, because I'm not being funny. To me, when I think, okay, just from a neutral's point of view, right? Say I didn't really watch United too hard, but I knew if I was to hear, who would you rather take? I don't know, Casemiro or Bruno Fernandes? I'd take Casemiro straight. Bruno Fernandes ain't won no 2-3 European Cups. And I'm not being funny. We had a similar qualm, I believe, and I know you're aware of this, with Kante last season, who was also 31, but was arguably he was one of our best players, even though he was injured. Do you think we wanted to get rid of him? No, he was a winner. You need winners in your team. You need to breed that mentality. He's one of the few winners in your team. That's like when people take the mickey out of Johnny Evans. He's a winner. And I'm not being funny. You can sit there in Arsenal pointing your finger about, you got Johnny, he's got more Premier League titles than Arsenal recently. So, people in in glass houses shouldn't throw flipping stones.
Well, I'll tell you what, Johnny Evans has won a Premier League title under Sir Alex Ferguson. Sir Alex Ferguson retired. His career petered out, went to Leicester City, to a club that's also won a Premier League title in that time. Didn't win it with them, but then
Not an FA Cup,
since
though,
then, I don't think did he actually win that? I think
he must have been with him and Maguire. Must have been. Let me check. I'm just going to quickly check Johnny Evans' honours. Go on, mate. Finish your point. Sorry, I apologise.
But yeah, so he's at Leicester City, stays there for to be a servant of the club, sees the club get relegated, then gets made a free agent.
FA Cup winner.
There you go. Moves back to United on a emergency cover contract for 1 year, and he has still won more titles in that time than Arsenal have.
He's a winner, and he's got a Premier League to prove it as well. That's the joke thing. He's got an FA Cup as well. Before any Arsenal fans talk about FA Cups, he's got that as well. So, and he got one.
Actually, if he's won, I mean, he's won one. I mean, Arsenal have won a few FA Cups in that last sort of 10-year stint. To be fair, I think it's like 2 or 3 in the last 10 years.
Yeah, they've got 2 or 3 in the last 10 years. But the thing is, have you noticed that everywhere, literally all those players that you've mentioned who won their last FA Cup, Arteta labelled them the enemy, said it was a toxic squad. Most of the Arsenal fans then agreed with it, said we need to get rid of this toxic squad. And 4 years later, they're sitting there saying, why did they break up that amazing squad that won us an FA Cup? Then again, there's real Arsenal fans and there's some funny ones. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, Mum Flossie said I like Declan Rice. From a Newcastle fan's perspective, I suppose you'd probably be saying that because Tonali's now banned for Tonali. To be fair, Tonali that's a massive miss for Newcastle. Humongous miss. The fact is that he's out. He's out until supposedly next season. That, like, Christ Almighty, think about the money they spent on him as well. It's like you've lost a huge amount of that investment from a gambling man.
Arsenal with Timber. There's been a couple of serious hitters, like in terms of like players that have been very unlucky to come over to this league and seriously get hurt. And but no, I'm not even joking, because when you look at Declan Rice,
that's a comment to Grind, Carl Rossi and Jaminho's gears. They hate Declan Rice.
Hang on 1 second. Again, I don't mean to bring this out again. Yes, I love you, dude. But go F yourself. My roots are Irish, not English. Sorry. Get stuffed.
Fair plays, bro.
So yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah, but Declan Rice. But the thing is, that's the same thing with Arsenal. If they get Declan Rice or Saliba injured, they're screwed. So everyone's just teetering on a knife edge at the moment. All clubs. It's crazy.
Yeah, first. But yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up everything that I had planned to discuss tonight. So
wait. What about your take on the Jadon Sancho thing? Would you keep him or sell him? Because you never did say.
Sell them.
There you go.
I'd sell him.
Shotgun, bang, done.
I'd sell him. I think he's he's got. I think he's burnt way too many bridges to sort of come back into the team as though nothing's happened. I think it would still be quite sour. I think there'll be a lot of mixed feelings. I think there would be quite a few mixed feelings with Jadon Sancho, going straight back into the team. I think a lot of question marks would be around Ten Hag. Is like, well, what was that all about then? But yeah. So there's a lot of things that have got to be sorted out. A lot of problems that need to be fixed, and I think for us, we're just sort of looking at the horizon at the moment, sort of waiting for the sun to rise a little bit, just to see what landscape gets illuminated, so we could just have more of an idea of what we're dealing with in the mid to long terms. Because I think short term, I think it goes beyond any reasonable doubt that there's massive changes have got to be made to even really build anything that's a semblance of a promising future. for Manchester United. And I think there is, though it's not a full sale, I would have loved to have seen a full sale,
That should have
Qatari
gone.
or not.
Yeah,
A full sale, I would have
man. Glazers and
Glazer
vampires.
free. Glazer free would have been a
Glazers
dream
and vampires.
scenario, but if Sergeant Ratcliffe can get this club to any capacity to feel and act like a football club and to actually put sporting acumen to the top of the priority list for Manchester United, then it is something that fans can get behind. It's something that fans can believe in, that they can um, sort of they can get emotionally attached to the club again. They can put money in to buy a shirt because for them it would be more about backing the team again now. If there's someone that's doing what's best for the club, that should be okay. It's not great that the Glazers are still here, and we would be hoping that Sergeant Ratcliffe does either buy out the rest of the Glazers or someone else buys those big shares off of the Glazers at a later date, so they'd still get a big payout. But ultimately, we'd end up Glazer free at the end of the day. So there's a lot of hopes that we've got. A lot of players to move on. Maybe manager changes, because we've seen that the Sergeant Ratcliffe says, "Oh no, we're not going to change the manager." They might say that, but they'll come in and they'll assess the situation. They might go, "Actually, we want to start our era with a fresh face." They might do that. That's a possibility. So we can't rule out that Ten Hag could end up still getting sacked, because new ownerships, they would like to see their era kicked off with everything just starting from a clean slate. So well, we'll just have to see what happens with that when it comes around to it. I hear international football, mate, is boring. To be honest, I am three-quarter Irish, though. I can tell a lie and prove it. If you look at the players he's got rid of and wants rid of, can Ten Hag handle big players? I'll tell you what, it's interesting because there's quite a lot of big name players that have foreign big players that have been targeted as problem factors in the squad, and then have sort of been outed, and then they end up on the sell list and then kicked out the club. A few big names down the history, down recent histories. But it's interesting. I think we have to see how that progresses, and if it does rear its ugly head again, like Varane, for example. If Varane gets booted out and sold before someone like a Maguire does, or someone like someone else who is not as good a quality as a Varane. I know Varane's a bit injury prone, a bit older, but his qualities, you can't understate his quality and his influence on our backline. So I think it's one of those we'll have to see what happens. And is that a problem at a club that traditionally has big players?
I don't think so. Casemiro and Varane and them, they're the bigger players in the squad, and as far as I know, they get on quite well with Ten Hag. So I'd say no, he doesn't.
These two games we have in this break. What a waste of time. Hopefully no injuries. Great stream, lads. Thank you very much, Yeti. Really appreciate you tuning in. But yeah, that does conclude the show. First and foremost, thank you very much to Wolfgang Division for joining me as a guest on this show. First time guest on this channel. Once again, and for the last time tonight, you'll find the link to Wolfgang Division's channel in the title of the stream on this page. He is also streaming to his location as well, so do be sure to go over there and like the stream on his channel, as well as subscribing if you haven't done so already. Plenty of content as well coming up, I believe, for you, Wolfgang. In over the international break, have you got much happening, or are you waiting?
Believe it or not, I've got a project that kind of involves you as well, and Yeti as well. I'll talk to you guys about it. I was going to do a show on Friday about our clubs and what state they're in. I was going to see if I can get the Arsenal fan Bants and pretty much anyone who wants to join, really, because we've got a massive problem brewing in English football when it comes to the way the rules have gone, and I want to talk that out with everybody in a neutral setting, and hopefully with Fuzzy will grace me for an hour or so. like I'll have his input on that as well, because he's a very clever lad. He articulates himself very well, and I enjoy speaking to him. Hence the reason why we've been here. And even my mate that came here, like he speaks so well, like he's just started rambling off like in the background. So we appreciate him. Even my friend now appreciates him. So because you know we do like the intellectual banter. But yeah, and as well, if you haven't, hopefully tomorrow though, I'll be interviewing Jordan from Cage Scrab to carry on my MMA stuff. And hopefully, like next week, because it is still the international break, I'll have maybe you and Yeti is on for a couple of more history ones. As I said, I'll talk to you guys about that later.
Yeah, lovely, good stuff. Big ups to everybody that has tuned in on both streams, the channel regulars as well. Thank you so much for tuning in. You guys, real ones.
Thank you, everyone.
Showing all the love and support means a huge amount to me. Currently sat on 8 likes as well. If anybody watches on playback and does hit the like as well on that playback, gets over 10 likes, it'll be massively appreciated. And get as many likes on Simon Stream as possible as well. I keep calling you Simon. Because of your Instagram. He says on your Instagram thing. It's because you got your. It's sometimes call you by Instagram then, but yeah, Wolfgang Division on YouTube's. Do make sure to go and like his version of the stream as well. Big T, thank you very much. Longhaired Yeti, Mama Flossie, Jaminho as well. Just go through all the names here. AFC Always on Wolfgang's stream. Scott Kirk as well. Big ups to you. Thank you for tuning in. Anthony Herbert as well. Thank you very much for tuning in. Stephanie Griffith, though quite a brief visit. Thank you very much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Carl Rossi as well. Legend, fantastic moderator in football YouTubing communities, and a absolutely sound fella, and really do appreciate his support, and massively appreciative of his service to the YouTube footballing YouTube communities as well. Jez as well, thank you very much for tuning in. Just to say, stop by and say hello. Afghan as well.
Early doors.
Thank you very much as well. And Early Doors, not to forget him, has been away for a while. Very happy to see him back in the community as well. We have missed you. Early Doors. So welcome back, and hopefully it's good things to come for you and for everybody else involved as well. Just a quick one as well. Arsenal history more. I'd just like to shout some things out from time to time. But Arsenal history more. I had a show earlier with a fantastic panel with I can't.
Lee Gunnar, Kenny Ken, Southern Gooner himself.
So, fantastic panel on the show. I've completely forgotten what the show was actually about. Well, no, it's the Ramsdale thing, wasn't it? It was to do with the Ramsdale thing, and massive shout outs to Arsenal History More. Fantastic show there, and fantastic panel as well. Do be sure to drop him a sub as well,
please, because I love that dude so much.
Yeah,
I really do. I love that.
Kenny Ken.
Well, he's not on YouTube, is he?
He's not on YouTube. You can follow him on his Instagram, which I believe is Kenny Ken 1972, I think. So yeah, do be sure to drop him a follow there. But also as well, do be sure to drop Early Doors Football TV. He's got his own YouTube channel, West Ham supporter. Do be sure to go drop him a sub. Just show him some love. Welcome him back into the YouTube community, and show him all the support you can. So thank you to everybody for tuning in. That's it from me and Wolfgang for tonight. And we'll be catching you again soon, whether it be on Wolfgang Division's channel or whether it be over here. I'm sure we'll have another show coming up quite soon. So do keep your eyes peeled. If you are subbed to us, make sure you got that bell notification switched on, because then you will be notified when we do go live, unless YouTube's pulling a BS moment and decides not to tell you. But to stand a chance at knowing when we go live, keep that notification bell switched on. Once again, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your the last 7 to 8 minutes of your Tuesdays, and And yeah, we'll see you again real soon. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. I'll speak to you later on. Take care.